He's one Democrat versus 25 Republican.
What American values are. I don't think you know what this country was founded or built upon. And I think you guys are obsessed with a cult leader who is taking the entire Republican Party off of the cliff.
Everything he say he do. Trump is gangster. Remember.
Can you give me one thing you don't like about Trump?
I love
A gangster.
I know, because it's a cult. Thank you.
It's not a cult.
Hey, my name is Stephen Bonnell. Online, I'm known as Destiny. I debate politics on YouTube at youtube.com/Destiny. Today, I am surrounded by 20 Trump supporters.
Right, let's go then.
My first claim is that Donald Trump is unfit to be the US president.
Pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, pleasure to meet you.
All right, so you say that President Trump is unfit to take the presidency. Why is that?
I would say that one of the most important values that we have as Americans is our form of government and things like respecting the peaceful transfer of power. I think being able to concede a lost election is really important. So I would argue that the events that took place leading up to and on January 6th are in and of themselves, among a whole bunch of other actions, immediately disqualifying for the office of presidency.
Okay, so see, let's talk about January 6th.
Yeah, January 6th is a disaster.
What happened that day in your mind, and why does that disqualify President Trump?
I think that Donald Trump was unwilling to accept the results of the elections. I think that he fabricated slates of electors in order to have his vice president pick him to be the winner in the Capitol building on January 6th, even though he didn't have the votes or the evidence to support it. I think that is a wholly undemocratic thing. I think that it is destructive and undermines our democratic process of governance.
Do you attribute the violence on January 6th to Trump?
Largely, yes.
Why?
I think that Donald Trump had been stoking the flames a year before
What do you mean, why?
the election, saying that the election was going to be rigged. I think that Donald Trump stoked all of these claims basically with no evidence, and then I think he continued to stoke the flames while fabricating them that the election had been stolen, that there was voter fraud, and then he invited people on the day of the certification, telling them that their election had been stolen, their country was being taken from them, they needed to fight like hell, they were going to lose everything. He knew what he was inviting them there for, he knew what he was asking them to do, he knew, yeah.
He also didn't enter to go down to the Capitol peacefully and patriotically, right? What time did protesters first go into the Capitol? What time did they first enter the Capitol?
I think it was around 10 a.m. I think is when the Capitol grounds were breached.
No, 2:11 p.m.
Peaceful protest? I don't think so.
When did protesters first go into the Capitol? What time did they first enter the Capitol?
I think it was around 10 a.m. I think is when the Capitol grounds were breached.
No, 2:11 p.m.
No, that's not true.
2:11 p.m. is when protesters first entered the United States Capitol.
There's the grounds that were secured outside, but those grounds were breached while Trump was still giving his speech at the ellipse.
Okay, let's talk about the entrance of the Capitol, because that would be more severe in your mind than simply walking onto the property, right? You can see that point?
Probably not. I think they're all really bad, but
Okay, well, entering the Capitol, let's just mark that point. 2:11. What should Trump have done at that point?
as soon as the Capitol grounds themselves were breached, he probably should have put a statement on social media telling people that they needed to go home instead of telling them that Pence had failed them and basically encouraging the violence to continue.
So what if I told you at 2:38 p.m. President Trump tweeted, "Stay peaceful"? He tweeted that to his supporters, "Stay peaceful." 27 minutes later.
He tweeted that after Ashley Babbitt had already been shot and killed.
Okay,
so what does it mean when you tell people to stay peaceful? They're not being peaceful. That doesn't make
2:38 p.m.
sense, right?
2:38 p.m. 27 minutes after the Capitol had been protesters had entered, he said, "Stay peaceful." Okay, at 3:13 he said, "Law and order." At 4:17 he posted a video saying, "Go home now." So what on earth was he supposed to have done? I'm not happy about some of the violence that we saw on January 6th. Let's put it in context.
Well, wait, you just said it. You just said what he should have done. The tweet that he did at 4:17.
No, that was the third call.
It was the first time they told him to go home.
Stay peaceful. 27 minutes after the Capitol protesters entered the
After
Capitol.
Ashley Babbitt had already been shot and killed. They weren't being peaceful. Why are we saying stay peaceful? At this point, Pence had already been. Doesn't matter. It's a red herring. Hold on. Do you acknowledge that people broke into the Capitol?
You just twist the narratives.
What do you mean
Come
break
on
into the
now.
Capitol?
As in smashed. They entered it illegally. They
100,000 people were there that day. How many were charged with crimes? 100,000 people. How many were charged with crimes?
Do you acknowledge that people
How many
broke
were
into
charged
the
with crimes then?
Capitol? People on the BLM march for crimes. This is a red herring.
No,
How many people?
you said they're violent. How many were there that day? 100,000. How many were charged with crimes? The largest FBI investigation in history. 1,550
It's not relevant at all.
have been charged with crimes. How can you say they're all violent?
It's not relevant.
How can you say they're all violent?
The first people that got into the Capitol did
Is January 6th the only reason why he's unfit?
Did the first people in the Capitol break in?
Is January 6th the only reason he's unfit?
Are you unwilling to answer that question?
Is January 6th the only reason?
Unwilling to answer. You say yes, you don't answer, then move on because you know the implications are terrible for you. That's fine.
The reality of the situation is.
The reality of the situation is people
What is the number of
they
voters?
delayed the certification of the vote. They delayed the certification of the vote. Did they not?
I just refuse to answer the question.
The vote was certified. Was it not certified?
Was there delayed certification? Was there delayed certification? It was because the National Guard showed up and they kicked the people out after Donald Trump was forced to tell them to go home after watching them break in for 3 hours and do nothing. By your own admission, they said. No, I'm not answering my question. Yeah, I asked you a simple question. The first person that got into the Capitol who wasn't allowed in, how did he get in?
They walked into the Capitol.
No, they broke into the riot shield that he stolen from an officer.
Okay, and that makes President Trump unfit for
Do you
office.
acknowledge that happened? Are we living
Well, just peacefully walking.
the same reality right now?
Nice.
Do you acknowledge that
There was
happened?
violence on January 6th. I acknowledge that. There's 100,000
You're making a
protesters.
specific claim. You know what 1 plus 1 is?
I do.
What is 1 plus 1?
I think it's 2.
Okay, well, the first person that got into the Capitol building, how did they get in?
You were arguing that Trump is unfit.
You know what 2 plus 2 is?
I-
4.
I-
Who was the first person into the Capitol building? How did he get in? Why does it say he broke
Is
in?
your entire argument about January 6th, yes or no?
Well, my biggest argument right now is that conservatives are delusional. They don't exist in the same reality.
Why must you attack 75 million voters?
Pause. You've been voted out by the majority. Please return to your seat.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Hi, how's it going? Pretty good. Yep.
So, you don't think Donald Trump is fit for office based on January 6th. However,
Thanks, yeah.
however, we have to admit that January 6th was compromised. There were patriots and there was Antifa. There were people
No,
who, yes, there were
actually
actually.
not.
I have video of it. Don't argue it. Don't argue because I actually have video of people who were on the ground. I have video of people in black bloc getting dressed up in MAGA gear.
Okay.
And according to
1420.
Oh, that was aggressive real quick.
Oh, you don't have the video, but let's see how long.
I do have the video.
Who was the first person to break into the Capitol?
it
Was it Antifa?
was an Antifa person. Yes, it was.
You're
And
wrong.
it's actually, if you read Andy No's book about Antifa,
I
Unmasked,
read
it
Andy
actually
No's book.
talks about how they use the premise of a broken window to then allow other people to come in because people are a mass. They're a group like herd of cows. And when there's a broken window, they don't see anything wrong with walking into a building if the window's already broken.
I thought this was the point of law and order. If you're outside somebody's house, you're supposed to be breaking
This
into walk in
example
afterwards.
is even
Is he comparing humans to a group of cows?
continue through BLM and the
I'm not talking about BLM right now.
The
I'm
pattern
talking
is the
about
same.
40 seconds.
The
It's not
pattern in
the
2020 is the same that happened in January 6th. We had innocent people moving into a facility that they didn't know that it was wrong because the doors were already open. So you're already.
There was broken glass on the floor. There was doors that were being broken into.
Yes, by
Everybody knew when they were going
MAGA,
in.
we're not MAGA.
Oh,
You
okay.
have
So were all the indictments and the convictions for people like Enrique Tarrio, for Stuart Rhodes, all these people have been directly involved. All the video footage of
which one of these people was his commander? Name one of the commanders of the insurrection.
Enrique Tarrio was the CEO of the Proud Boys. Stuart Rhodes
Is he a commander? Is he a commander in the
I don't know what
insurrection?
official military
Name
roles
lieutenant in
were.
the insurrection.
Why would you name the
An insurrection is going to have people like commanders, generals, captains, people.
No, it doesn't
Yes,
need to at all.
Absolutely.
The Proud Boys had leadership structure. You just read the entire
There was no leadership structure. It can't be an insurrection if there is no leadership structure. You can't even name one of Donald Trump's
No, not this guy.
commanders in this.
Come
And
on.
then
They're all the gentlemen that already gave you the CEO of the Proud Boys. They're the ones that broke
Donald
in.
Trump made 4 tweets, and those 4 tweets didn't even make it out of his sphere because they were immediately suppressed by the media.
They weren't suppressed at all.
They were
He
deleted.
said
They were
he
deleted.
were
They were
deleted.
deleted by
You
Twitter.
those tweets.
He brought them out on stage on his town hall and said, "Look, here are the tweets that you deleted." How do you explain that? Other than a fascist system who doesn't want Donald Trump.
Yeah, the calls for peace came 3 hours.
No,
while
they-
he, wait, so do you acknowledge that Donald Trump sat in his room for 3 hours before he told people to go home watching violence
Donald
unfold?
Trump gave a
You want to answer a
speech.
question?
Donald Trump gave
I
a
don't care.
speech.
I don't
You don't care about
I don't know. I'm the one. I'm asking a very simple question.
You
You
don't
can't
care
answer. I can answer your question. You answer my question. You acknowledge that he sat for 3 hours.
No, he didn't say 3 hours. hours because he gave a speech during those 3 hours.
No, at the very end, he went after the lit speech was done. He went back to the White House and then he sat in a room with a Diet Coke and he watched the violence.
How do you know this?
Because it's accounted
Were you
for by
there?
like testimony.
Were you there?
How do you know what's happening at the border? What's happening? Are you there? What do you
Actually,
mean?
this gentleman is
Hold on,
actually.
I'm sorry. Is your claim the only way you can know something is if you personally
You're
witnessed
making
it?
these claims that he sat there.
I'm making this claim based on hundreds of hours of deposition testimony by people that have testified on a number of boards in front of the J6 meeting, in front of the media, in front of the
You have to personally see it, otherwise it's not true.
how many people are willing to testify to all of this?
Pause. You've been voted out by the majority. Please return to your seats.
Hey, what's up?
So I think that we've been talking about January 6th. I'll be the first to say that, and I think a lot of people here would agree that there were bad actors that day. I'm someone who comes from a family of law enforcement, family of military, so I believe in law and order, and so I do believe that there were people on that day who took things way too far, and I think most Republicans understand that. From people that I had talked to on the ground, I think that the media blew it up into something bigger than it was. Again, I'm not saying that people who broke into the Capitol shouldn't have, but I do believe that there's a lot of people who were misled. There's evidence that's coming out with all the tapes that are coming out from January 6th, showing police officers were actually escorting people through the hallways. So to say that every single person who entered that building is a criminal, I think a lot of people.
Just to be clear, that's never been my claim. That every single person entered was the building is such a boring and uninteresting. I've never wasted my time making it. The reality was, I do agree with you. You're fundamental. There were a lot of people that were misled. I do agree with that. I think that Donald Trump was behind that misleading the entire time. The people were there because he was tweeting at them saying, "Come here for a historic protest." It was obvious what the protest was going to be. They were protesting certification of the vote, and what happened.
President Trump never told anyone to break into the Capitol. President Trump has always run on a campaign of law and order and to respect his police. Okay, where's your evidence of that?
The whole plot on January 6th was to break the law, to have Mike Pence choose him to be the president.
At what point did President Trump tell people to break into the Capitol?
No, but he wanted Pence to choose him to be the president.
No, but talking about breaking
So you have to explicitly say it. Come on,
breaking the law.
literally say it.
That's breaking the law was the
I know president doing that.
What you're saying is that that he was inciting an insurrection. He was inciting an insurrection and telling people to basically
they need to fight like hell or they're going to lose their country.
Okay,
He's just riling the people up, bro.
how does that have anything to do with breaking into the Capitol?
Yes, again, just to be clear. So he told people to go to J6 because it would be a historic something, a historic event. When they all got there and they showed up at his speech at the Ellipse for an hour, he riles them up, telling them they're going to lose their country, that they're trying to steal it from you, that you fight like hell. Giuliani was just on there before saying trial by combat. He said all these things, and then all these people, he said we're going to march down Pennsylvania. They all march to the Capitol.
Is there anything wrong with protesting outside
I'm
the
just
Capitol?
asking, was the fact that there was a break into the Capitol and for the first time in U.S. history, the vote certification was delayed, was that just a coincidence? Was it just a coincidence that a break-in happened and the vote was delayed?
Because people broke into the Capitol, that can't be blamed on President Trump.
So it's a coincidence.
President Trump has always ran on law and order, and for people, and yes, there were bad actors. But let's move to the certification. No,
crazy, right? You're not
in 2016, I've already said that there were bad actors. In 2016, Democrats questioned the election of President Trump. Yes, they did. Sheila Jackson, and two other Democrats had spoken, said that they were going to question and to hopefully delay the certification in 2016 when President Trump was elected. And
when did he concede? The answer is that night, right? The answer is that night. Was the certification of the vote delayed? So the answer is no. Was there a right of the Capitol? The answer is no.
I am from Arizona. I was in the middle of the elections in 2022. I saw what happened in 2020. There's serious questions about what's happening. Hold on. I'm from Arizona. I work in Arizona. I don't care. I work in
every single case on this failed for good reason, right?
It's failed on standing.
No, that's not true.
It's failed on standing.
Let me get my no point. Yes, advocated different time and 4K.
There is serious questions.
You've been
Go
voted out
out.
by the majority. Please return to your seats.
I just have questions. I like to ask people questions. I'm interested in hearing how people think. So when you're talking about the insurrection on January 6th, what would you describe during when Kavanaugh was elected to Supreme Court and that all the protesters at the Capitol, they're banging on the Capitol doors, they were screaming, they were yelling? Well, how do you feel about that?
I don't know the specifics of the event. I don't recall any proceedings being delayed. I don't recall there being a top-down call from the president to lead.
You don't remember that they had to stop the congressional meetings because people were banging on the door and being so loud and trying to break the doors?
If they did, then it's bad.
Yeah, I agree.
Wait. Just to be clear, this is the difference between me and you. Okay, is that if everything you're telling me is true?
I'm a female. I'm a female.
I'm
a female. Yeah, I just put it. I had counter.
Wow, the misogyny card is real quick.
I'm a female. You're a male, and it's also like you're attacking me because I'm a female. Are you anti-female? Are you anti-female?
Half the time, okay. I'm saying, I'm very honest. What I'm saying is,
Sweetie, can I ask you another question?
I didn't even answer your first question.
No, you said you didn't know the specifics.
Yes, but
Really, sweetie.
I'm not the first to know yes or no.
I'm not. And you know what?
I
you
agree with you.
arrested.
You're still yelling, and I agree with you.
I'm not close to yelling. I can't be
I'm glad you are protecting your voice because they couldn't hear you before. So I can definitely hear you now.
do that. Maybe here behind yours.
You want my hair behind my ears?
If you're giving your ability to hear me speak, yes.
Well, actually, it's because you need the bottom of your. I'm in the medical field, so the bottom of your tongue needs to be clipped. So that's the reason why you have a list when you're talking. Anyway, if you want medical advice, I can do that, but it's better to be private on that. So I have another question. So we agree that during Kavanaugh trials, people were trying to break the Supreme Court. That's bad. I agree with you honestly. So and the next thing is I have a question for you because you also brought up border and immigration, right?
Well,
what would you
actually,
say? They can play back. So anyway,
What is she talking about?
what would you say if the Biden-Harris we have the Biden-Harris administration right now? If our border was filled with neo-Nazis with tiki torches, what would happen?
You probably sell a whole lot more lighter fluid. I don't know what you mean.
No, if
Okay,
our border.
pause. Sorry, you've been voted out by the majority.
I hate you.
Micah. Okay, I want to talk about the alternate slate of electors and how historically that has happened before on the Democrat side. Yes, it has. In 1960, JFK against Nixon ran an alternate slate of electors in case it was overturned in Hawaii. It was eventually overturned in Hawaii, and so then those electors were certified, and JFK won the state.
So I'm glad you bring this up real quick because this is one of the biggest pieces of talking points you guys always bring up. I don't know why. In 1960, 2 slates of electors were authorized by the state legislature. Both were granted the certificate of ascertainment from the governor because they knew there was a very close election and they authorized a recount, and because that recount was going to go past the some mid-December date, December 14th for the 2020 election, but some mid-December date when they had to certify their vote. So they said, okay, we'll send in both certificates, and then on the day of the counting, on January, whenever they would have done the certification of Congress, then they can choose which one was authorized by the state legislature based on the results of the recount. Donald Trump's certificates were not authorized by any state legislature. Do you acknowledge that none of the 7 states none of those were authorized by any state legislature?
Can I answer?
You're not going to.
No, I am. No, I am. No. They weren't certified, and why? It's because fraud wasn't found.
You are denying it. And
It wasn't proven.
No, you're lying. You're lying. They
Wait, so you're saying fraud was found?
No, you're lying because those legislators.
Wait, what are you saying I'm lying now?
You're lying because none of those alternate slates were arranged by the state legislatures. They were arranged by Trump and his criminal co-conspirators. None of the state legislators, none of the state governors authorized those slates of electors.
Okay, what's wrong with that?
It's illegal, number one. And number two,
What law says that?
And you have laws that are governing how you're supposed to transmit.
What law?
Do you want me to give you the specific statutes in
Yeah.
Georgia, Arizona, New Jersey? I don't know them off the top of my head. If you want,
Okay,
you
so
can
then-
Actually,
It's a baseless claim.
It's not a baseless thing.
Yeah, it is.
Testro and Eastman
You can't provide me a
all
specific
engaged-
law.
Because I can't give you the state statute?
Yeah, if you can't give me a specific law, then why should I believe you? There's no justification for that. You have to provide evidence for that.
Hold on.
what?
On the contrary, are you claiming there's no formal process that's codified in the legislature for how to
I think lawyers even cite the
send your electoral votes?
exact
They just
law.
randomly?
No, of course I'm saying. Of course there's laws that are involved, but you can't point to the specific law that says that is.
I don't know the
and so
numbers.
your claim is baseless.
It's always crazy to see that you guys will carry water. Even Trump's own people don't deny this because they know that they're dead to rights because the emails have leaked, the conversations have leaked, the Twitter posts are there.
Okay, no.
Really, what did I just say was wrong? One thing that I just said was incorrect.
You're getting
I
upset
agree
because I'm pressing you on
No,
that.
you're not pressing
Yeah,
me at all.
you're getting
You're
upset, dude.
floundering.
Dude.
You're like a magic carp.
See,
You have no idea
and
what you're talking
when you have
about.
to result to personal insults, that's when you know you're losing.
You already said that I was lying.
And so-
You can't even simply
Yeah,
I can name multiple things you've been incorrect about. We're incorrect now.
I can see any personal insult.
No, I think you're just speaking for yourself. You're making yourself look foolish.
Okay, go ahead.
But okay, yeah, I mean, there's 10 seconds.
Give me your
Again, it was for the same reason. You can compare the election of 1960 to 2020. It's the exact same thing. They did that in case their cases
Okay, pause.
actually came to fraud and
That's
they found
time.
fraud in the election.
That's time. Micah, please return to your seat.
My next claim is that Harris would be a better president for immigration on the border than Donald Trump. Okay, what's up?
One tendency?
Yeah.
All right, so why would Kamala Harris be better than Trump on immigration?
Because I don't know if Trump even knows what's actually wrong with the border.
He doesn't know what do you mean by that?
I think that Republicans don't know what is happening right now with the problems of the immigration system. A lot of people think that the issue is with illegal immigration. It's not. The problem is that our asylum process is completely and totally broken right now. And the problem is the only way to rectify that is to change the laws governing, or at least the regulations governing the asylum process. And when there was a bill on the table to do so, Donald Trump blocked it to keep the border open for an election issue. But as it stands right now, you could have the biggest, strongest wall in the world with the best guns and all the people manning it. It would make zero difference on illegal immigration. They would still come up and claim asylum, and there's nothing you'd be able to do about it.
So do you think there's problems with illegal and illegal? That's what I'm hearing correctly?
Well, it's different classifications of immigrants. But like asylum seekers aren't technically illegal immigrants, even though Republicans call them that. When they're doing the asylum seeking process and millions of people are here waiting for their case, technically that's all legal, which is an issue.
Okay, but why would Kamala Harris be better than Trump? He said she understands it better. I think everybody understands the issue, but I think the Democrats and Republicans, at least establishment, they don't want to fix the issue. So
So I don't think everyone understands the issue. So every single person sitting here doesn't believe me when I just said that the laws on the books and the asylum process are the main issue. They think it's just people illegally crossing the border, right? The reason why I think that the
it's
Democrats
also
do something
enforcement because they're not enforcing laws on the
They
books.
are
People that
enforcing-
shouldn't be
they are
here are
enforcing-
here.
they're enforcing them.
Yeah, but there's people that are illegal here. They're not being sent back.
I mean, that's a whole other deportation.
not enforcing
thing.
law, then.
Well, who's they?
The government.
Which one? The state governments or the federal
All of
government? Well, the federal government doesn't have the resources to go in and try and find every single potential illegal immigrant in the United States. There's a whole bunch
But we
of
just sent how many to go into Ukraine? Like we have them.
All of the government.
Money. We can hire people. There's a lot of people in this country that can happen.
So the majority, like
Not to.
80% of the 80% of Ukraine is in the form of like used weapons and stuff.
Right.
But secondly, it's just a matter of even if you say we have the money for it, I mean, we would have to appropriate the funds for it and everything else to do it. Like it's not a matter of simply saying like, oh, we're going to triple the size of the DHS or X or whatever.
But so now you're saying, so you want to be tough on immigration, right? And you think Kamala Harris is going to be tough on immigration, just generally speaking. She's going to crack down on it, deport illegals, send them.
I don't know. I'm not necessarily. I'm not talking about being tough on it. I'm saying to fix the issue right now, which
So
is
the fix
people
it,
coming in and claiming asylum.
So the fix it got to stop people coming in. So we
Well, the issue is to stop the asylum process, or we need to figure out a way to make that better.
right, but there's multiple things that need to be fixed. It's a multifarious issue. And Kamala Harris originally says that
Okay,
ISIS
pause.
KKK.
You've been voted out by the majority. Please return to your seats.
You lost me at KKK, bro.
I'm Luke, by the way. Nice to meet you. So I just wanted to briefly talk about, you're talking about the Senate bill that failed the House. What is your argument with that? Because as far as my knowledge with this bill, it was $118 billion. That was the financial standing within this bill. Within that, $60 billion of that $118 billion was going to go towards Ukraine. Only 20, I have the chart with me, only $20 billion was going to go towards the border. $10 billion was going to go towards Gaza, $14 billion was going to go towards Israel. This Senate bill was a bad bill, first off. And second off, it was just a
Because there's an actual war going on in Ukraine.
disguising bill to give more money towards Ukraine. So you talk about the bill.
So
That's
just
the
a
only
real quick thing.
Democrats
So
have.
this is the argument that was floated initially. The problem is they tried to reintroduce this bill on its own, and it still failed.
But the bill itself was written poorly. Within the bill, they're going to cap was the average weekly immigrations at 5,000. That's still way too many
Do you
people.
know what's capped at right now?
What is it capped at?
Nothing. That's why it was a good idea.
5,000 is still way too much. Why don't they cap it at? Why don't they cap it at less?
What they
And
allowed
you
to
talk about asylum.
do, what they allowed to do is they allowed it to say if there were too many people coming in, they could put a 2-week moratorium and completely shut down people that were coming to the country to seek asylum.
But
That was one
Border
thing that
Patrol,
allowed to do.
Border Patrol
Right now
isn't
they
doing
don't
their
have
job.
to do.
And
They
these are for
They're doing
individuals.
their job.
These are the individuals that are not or that are seeking
He's talking over.
asylum. Do you know how many individuals that seek asylum actually file their paperwork for asylum?
Why? If you're
It's
coming
less
here
than
to
half. No, it's less than half.
If you're coming here to get a slip to go to
They're
court,
using
they have to-
asylum as an excuse. The process which comes with people that come for asylum, the easiest and most, I guess, used process, they come typically through San Diego or Arizona. They put these individuals on a freight train, send that train to New York. They house them typically at the Roosevelt Hotel. Other hotels in New York also being used. Then they give them an identification bracelet that has a number, basically like Nazi
So all
Germany.
this is fine.
Let me,
The reality
please let me
is
finish talking. I'm respecting you. Have some respect.
Okay, let's talk about the asylum process.
Okay.
Right? If Democrats wanted to allocate more money to the judges to process the claims faster, allocate more money to border security to make sure people were coming in illegally, and then to be able to put a moratorium to many people were coming in, wouldn't all of these things help?
If only less than 50% of people that are actually coming for asylum are filing the paperwork, none of that matters. We should be
How are you
starting
getting a
off.
slip to go to court for an asylum judge if you're not filing your paperwork?
What I'm saying is these people are using asylum as an excuse to get to America to use our resources. Do you know how much money that we've spent? So there's two different types of immigrants. Two different types of legal immigrants. There's gotaways and there's give-ups. Do you know what each one is?
Catch and release versus
So give-ups are individuals that typically their families are typically asylum seekers that they intentionally want to get processed through border control. Gotaways are typically criminals, which there's 14,000 murderers right now that are within our country coming through the border. Gotaways alone, which are typically criminals, we are spending $450 billion a year just to support these criminals that are coming through the gotaway process.
Okay, so all this is great, but it returns me back to my other question. If people are doing this by abusing the asylum process, It feels like a bill would have helped, and Donald Trump is
No,
nothing.
because before we can have any type of bill that basically funnels down asylum versus gotaways versus give up versus criminals versus all that, you need to have a secure border.
Yeah, but let's say
that was not going to help. That was not going to help in the securing of the border.
Let's say you secure the border 1 trillion feet tall on the wall and everything.
Okay.
Everybody else comes out, they still do the exact same asylum claiming process.
When everybody comes out.
As in, you go to a port of entry and you say, hey, I'm going to claim asylum.
If you have a closed border that has a stricter process for whoever's coming through, which one of those processes, which was extremely effective, was our Remain in Mexico Act.
So it was effective.
Yes, it was. The
Just to close border.
Biden
That's
administration
it.
revoked that act, as well as 94 executive orders that Trump installed during his administration. There was a reason that our border had a 50-year all-time low. And I want to ask you a question.
Well,
Let me ask you a question, please. Do you condemn 15-year-old
Number two.
Yes or no?
Number two.
Yes or no?
Number two.
He doesn't. Do you condemn 15-year-old
Obviously, I would condemn.
You condemn.
I'm not going to play this.
What is this, bro?
You condemn
Debate bros.
Riley's murderer
Number
came in
two.
and murdered her,
Number two.
who was coming through an illegal godaway process.
I don't care how they got here.
You condemn the 321,000 missing children right now that we cannot find at the border.
I don't even think that number is real.
Yes, it is. It's 321,000 missing illegal children.
Do you understand?
I'm giving you facts right now that are presented through ICE, that are presented through FEMA,
How do you have a
through
certificate with no comprehension of the issue? It's just numbers. You're just regurgitating it.
Okay, he's just unhinged, huh?
I'm asking you a simple question. Let's say you secure the border. How does that help the asylum process?
People amped up. People are dying. Kids are being
I'm
trafficked.
asking you a simple
Drugs are coming through.
question.
Fentanyl is at an all-time high.
90% of the fentanyl in this country comes through legal people. It's not always
No, it's not.
illegal. Yes, it is.
During the Biden administration, fentanyl, an average yearly count of fentanyl is 15,000. It's exceeding 50,000. During the Trump administration, it was less than 25,000.
That's more numbers that have nothing to do with what
Exactly.
That's all you random numbers.
From
No, you don't understand the issue. Yes, I know they're facts.
People are dying here. All you're concerned about is trying to be right. People are dying. Do you care about people dying?
You don't.
Yes or no?
You don't.
Really, I don't.
You don't care.
Really,
You
how would I not care?
Because you're supporting the president that blocked the bill to fix the problems. You don't
I'm
talk about it.
supporting the president
You don't
that
care.
our borders
When you see
secure.
the Rileys or Lincoln Rileys, all these people getting killed, you're thinking, yes, it's an election issue.
So you're saying I was excited like how you were excited that Corey was shot?
You're excited. You were excited when a person dies to an illegal immigrant, but when something goes to get done about it, you champion Trump when he blocks the bill.
The bill was a bad bill,
That's
period.
it. Really, what legislation did Donald Trump pass in his 4 years as president?
He had closed borders. He had the Remain in Mexico Act.
Remain in Mexico doesn't sound like a bill. Remain in Mexico, by the way, was responsible for keeping like 10,000 immigrants away a year.
Title 42 allowed law enforcement.
Title 42 is one. There's no COVID.
It wasn't COVID specific.
What do you think Title 42 was?
Title 42 allowed law enforcement to process illegals that were coming through. Now they revoked that. If a sheriff or police officer, say there's a murderer that comes through illegally, if a police officer tries to process that guy and get him, the police officer is going to be charged with kidnapping, not the murderer. The murderer is just going to get away with this stuff. You can't own up to the facts that are actually happening of the criminals that are coming through. If someone is truly coming into this country, fleeing, say Venezuela, fleeing a South American country or any country that their life is truly at stake, everybody here has a heart for them.
No, you don't.
Yes, you do. How dare you say that? My family were immigrants. So how can you say that?
In your world, in your ideal world, if somebody was escaping one of those countries and coming to the border, you're saying keep them in Mexico until we process them. Where's the compassion there?
Mexico is 10 times safer than the country that they're
You think that the border towns that are being overwhelmed by people coming to seek asylum? Oh, there it is.
So Mexico is 10 times separate.
Pause.
Okay.
Pause. You've been voted out by the majority. Please return to your seat.
I'm glad we agree that there's a problem with the asylum system. And I
Well, we don't agree. I think that, but
well, I'm agreeing with you that there's a problem with the asylum system. I actually think you care. I've been following you for a while. I actually think you deeply care about the system.
How about this guy again?
How it's affecting American people. I do believe that sincerely. What is for the tens of millions of folks who are going to watch this video, just what does asylum as a process represent to you? What does it mean to qualify legitimately for asylum?
to legitimately qualify for asylum, there's like official characteristics for it, but basically the place that you're fleeing, you're being persecuted for some characteristic or trait that we think that you obviously shouldn't be persecuted for, and you're facing like severe threats to your existence. And so you have to flee the country, and then you're basically coming to the United States saying like I'm basically stateless, I can't go back to my home, like me and my family's at risk, and can you basically take me in and me become a citizen that way basically.
Exactly right. You're fleeing racial, religious, ethnic persecution. Absolutely. Poverty wouldn't count as asylum. And just the fact, poverty doesn't count. You'd be fleeing a particular type of persecution. If poverty is a coincident factor there, then but the persecution is key.
Sure, I'm gonna hesitantly agree with you, but like let's say you're facing poverty in like Syria, where it's like a collapsed state, and it's like I can say but in general, yeah.
He just
They're
so backward, bro.
Absolutely. And so that's why 90% of asylum claims are rejected. Let's talk about Remain in Mexico. You brought up that you think it was a failure, it seems.
Yes.
Why is that?
One, I think there were a lot of lawsuits in the United States that were starting to look promising. I think in terms of overturning it, I think the ACLU got a victory in the 11th Circuit or the 9th Circuit. And then also because the number of people that were being kept out from Remain in Mexico, I want to say the total number over, I think it was like 3 years, was like 30 or 40,000. It wasn't that many, like altogether.
But isn't that actually a sign of its success? This was a successful deterrent. Think about it this way, Stephen. If you've got people who are fleeing religious persecution and you've got folks who are fleeing poverty, the people who are actually fleeing persecution, they will happily go to Mexico and wait for 6 months for their case to be heard.
I don't know if that's always the case.
Well, but
if you're fleeing, you literally have nothing. You're like a destitute family. Now you're sitting in like a border town, like waiting months and months. Maybe.
But that's better than religious persecution in Syria, right?
It might be, but ideally in the United States we could process you almost immediately. And if you have a legitimate claim, we can house you here.
Absolutely. But how do we keep the fraud out of the system? I thought Remain in Mexico, wherever you are politically, was a good way to do that. The idea was that if you're actually fleeing persecution in Syria or in East Asia or in Africa, you would be 99% better off in that camp in Mexico, where it is protected, where you have food, where you have humanitarian resources. That keeps the fraud claims out. And so this bipartisan border bill, well, first and foremost, 9 Democrats, including Elizabeth Warren, actually voted against it. So Donald Trump didn't kill it. Donald Trump was opposed to it for the same reasons that many Republicans and some
To be
Democrats
clear, would that bill have
were opposed to it.
passed without Donald Trump telling Republicans not to vote for it?
No, it would not.
Okay, that's completely and totally incorrect.
What's your proof of that? Listen, let's talk about the substance of it.
Well, the proof is that like it would have passed. People like McConnell, people like Cruz are literally saying like we're not voting on this bill because Donald Trump is supposed to. The idea was it
So what would that bill have done to deter the fraudulent asylum claims that are keeping out legitimate folks who are fleeing persecution?
Well, I think that right now the biggest there's an amalgamation of laws that make it so that because the asylum system is so backed up, I know that if I go to the United States, even if it's total bullshit, I can run in, write a report, claim that I'm an asylum seeker, and I know that they can't process me right now, so I got a slip saying, okay, we'll come back to court in a year or two, and it's like I'm in, and you're done. At that point, you just disappear, right? But if they can process you almost immediately, you should be like, hey, I'm an asylum seeker. Oh, cool, we'll come talk to the judge. Like, okay, well, me. Then the motivation to come in and try to get in fraudulently that way dramatically decreases. And one of the big things that the bill helped with was providing a lot more judges and be allocated for these things and a lot more funding for it.
So just to correct that point, they weren't actually judges. They were funding custom officers who don't have law degrees, who are biased one way, who are more likely to prove asylum claims that might end up proving fraudulent. I think
wait, hold on. Who processes the asylum claims? If eventually it's a judge.
No. Just clearly here, customs officers under the bipartisan border bill would be then given authority to process these claims. They don't have law degrees. They aren't judges. Judges typically take these cases, but in this particular bill by Langford, it would actually be customs officers.
Customs officers make the final decision on whether or not a person gets into the.
And that's how you build up capacity. Because you can hire more immigration judges. There aren't enough people in the country to take those.
I think you can. I think the issue is that the judge number has been capped since I think the 80s or the 60s in terms of how many judges are allowed to hear these claims. So we haven't had more funding that was allocated.
Why not bring back Remain in Mexico? It absolutely.
So no enough success.
Because I don't think it necessarily works. Number one, because not that many people were kept out. And number two, even as a matter of policy, I don't know if the idea to the country to the south is like, hey, listen, we're going to store them in your country while we wait and process it. I don't know how even Mexico would feel about that. I don't think the dishes would necessarily be served for those people either. Because I thought that one of the claims that I heard so much from the troubles was how unsafe all of these like border towns have become because of so many people building up there. So I would want to take legitimate asylum seeker there and keep them there. Would you agree that if somebody was coming here to legitimately seek asylum and it was a legitimate case, they would probably be good to take them in and house them immediately?
In an ideal world, absolutely. But we need to also separate those who are abusing the system. And 90% of those claims are fraudulent. But
so then should we increase the funding to process those claims?
I think the deterrent is better in Mexico. But Stephen, let's agree to disagree. Okay.
Okay.
Great.
Okay.
Jeez. Right.
Okay, actually, he's been snubbed now twice, so I'm sorry. I'm gonna let him have it.
Hi. What's up?
I'll get you next time.
So my issue with the bipartisan border bill is that it only gets activated on a mandatory basis.
Come on now, what is this bias moderator?
There are 5,000 people per day crossing the border. I agree with you that the asylum process is a problem, but that bill also expands protections for asylees or people seeking asylum. The bipartisan border bill is a problem. I think that HR2 is much more effective at preventing black people abusing the
HR2 might have been more effective from a certain standpoint, but that bill was DOA, and everybody knew it.
because Democrats went for it.
Because, no, I don't even know if we would have Republicans.
Do you think that would be a win for Democrats if they passed HR2? Like politically speaking,
Probably not. That bill went much further.
you don't think that it would be good for Joe Biden's image?
No, I think that I would go back and read it because I think that bill was way more extreme in terms of like processing people. I don't think it was very
Eliminated
practical.
parole, which I think is a good thing. There are a couple other things. Like
The bill was DOA. There was no chance in hell it was
the bipartisan border bill was terrible too.
No, bipartisan border bill
terrible.
that would have passed less Donald Trump.
Right, but it didn't address the current issue. It was about 1,000.
It did address it. Right? You could say it might have addressed it, but it would have been a big step in that
There
direction.
are about okay, yeah, right. But the issue happening about twice as bad as it currently is. It's about 1,900 people cross per day currently. Under the bipartisan border bill, on a mandatory basis, the emergency powers can only be activated if 5,000 people cross over the border daily over a 7-day period. Right.
Yeah, but then after that happens, you shut the border down for 2 weeks.
Right. But you can only the emergency powers given the bill can only be used for 270 days of the first calendar year, 225 the second, and 180 of the third. And in addition to that, if it drops below 70%, that mandatory number, 5,000, which is about 3,750, which is almost exactly double what it currently is, it's automatically rescinded. The powers go away.
I don't believe
Yes, they do.
How can anybody come in if they're processing zero claims?
Wait, what do you mean?
If they're processing zero claims, once they
It's
get
on the
that
basis of it's on the basis of crossers. So
no, it's just on asylum claims as well. That was the nice thing about it. We don't have an issue right now with illegal immigrants coming to this country. We have a problem right now.
Absolutely
I know,
we
yeah,
do.
that's fine. The problem that we have right now is with asylum seekers.
I agree with you.
Not illegal
I agree with you.
immigrants.
And this bill expanded protections for asylum seekers.
Yeah, but it also gave the
So
ability for the border to shut
It's all this gasping, bro.
Get on arrival.
No, 2 weeks shutdown. What is our moratorium right now on people claiming asylum?
I don't know.
Zero. It's nothing.
Right.
So this would be better definitionally.
You said earlier that like you're talking about who was it, like the 5,000 cap on the mandatory basis or whatever. It's not a cap. That's not a cap on. Like,
No, it's like a 7-day rolling average.
Yeah, let me finish. That's not a cap on how many people can come to the border. Obviously, 0 people are allowed to illegally cross the border, right?
But wait,
Yes, I agree with you. My point. Okay. So that's not a cap on how many people cross the border. Obviously, it's illegal for anybody to cross the border. It's a cap on power.
Okay, pause. Sorry, time's up.
Oh, wow.
Return to your seat.
You're talking about.
Hey, before we go any further, we want to take a moment to say thanks so much to Straight Arrow News for powering the fact checks in this video.
Plans would increase
Episode. Now, let's get into it.
My next claim is that Donald Trump's economic plans would increase inflation and devastate the economy.
So under the Trump administration, inflation was consistently at 2%. Under Biden-Harris, it's 5.5.
What do you think the biggest contributor to the Biden-Harris inflation has been?
Well, you
What? Do you scope it?
could say the supply chain, but I would say the bills that they passed, the Inflation Reduction Act, had nothing to do with inflation. The reason inflation's kind of at 2.5 now is because they raised interest rates. There's nothing to do with what they've done.
Okay, so what was a huge event that probably triggered a ton of inflation because of all the knock-on effects from it? It was a really big event that happened in the past 5 years.
From COVID?
Yeah. Okay. So COVID happened. So if you look at Donald Trump's administration, if you look at what he did, he ran massive budget deficits. He did nothing for spending. He did giant tax cuts, right? And he pressured the Fed to keep interest rates.
Well, Harris has like $1 trillion per year too.
Yeah, but at least they can argue for why they would have deficits, right? Because they're trying to save us from a massive recession, which more or less he did.
Already hit recession.
No.
The economy has been doing better since Barack Obama.
not
So
really.
Yeah, by the letter of law we have.
Okay, if you want to say we have it, it was a soft landing at worst. Okay, but it's nowhere near as bad as it could have been. But at least they were coming in an economic crisis they probably had to spend for. Why did Donald Trump run massive budget deficits when he was sitting on a great economy that he inherited from Obama?
It wasn't a great economy.
It was an amazing economy. The stock markets were posting all-time highs for like 3 or 4 years before he even came to office.
And got higher under him.
They did. They continued to grow. Yes, but why did he have to run budget deficits to do that?
I mean, his tax cuts actually helped everyone. Helped me as a middle class person.
Of course, because he did deficit spending. Deficit spending always helps. He gets more money. Yeah, but how would this ever help inflation?
Well, there was no inflation under Trump.
Yeah, because the economy, everything in the world was growing too, right? COVID hadn't shut everything down yet.
Right.
But I'm saying that Donald Trump's
Even
administration.
his last month in office, that was 1.4%. Biden can't get that in his best.
Yeah, but are we going to cite like the year of COVID as like these are the?
Well, yeah, I mean, if you want to be fair to under COVID, the last few months, unemployment was terrible. So if you want to go off that too, but as soon as the country opened back up, they tried to take all this credit of all these jobs that were just out.
Sure, and I wouldn't. I think that's pretty stupid. They said we created this new jobs, whatever. So I'm not giving them credit for that necessarily.
Right.
But I'm just saying we look at just for inflation. Everything that Donald Trump talks about when he wants to come back in his next term seems like things that would just be inflation. He wants to tariff everything.
Well, he wants to drill more, which will lower the price of
We
everything.
already are a world producer in energy. I don't know how much drilling more is going to help. But I mean, I don't even know how the people to drill because he wants to increase tariffs on every single product in the world.
Which is stuff made out of America.
What?
Which will benefit the
Yeah, but
Americans.
it's made in America. Then who's going to be drilling the world? Is he like making clothes and making shoes and making the most basic fundamental
Well,
products?
not all of us, obviously. Stuff that will come from overseas.
and just make all the products in America.
Why? He wants to tariff all of it at 50 to 1,000%.
Nah, he didn't say 1,000. He said 100.
He said a lot of numbers. He said Bloomberg.
And they will increase the price significantly.
You know what he did yesterday? I think he said 1,000 for some of them. But yeah, he said he wants to tariff. He said he wants to tariff everything. He said 10 to 20% was too low. He wants to manufacture everything at home.
And then when Harris went on the view and said we'll do anything different than Biden, she said no, can't do anything. No matter how people are struggling how the world is, she can't do one thing. She will do.
Well, I mean, the United States is the head of the
Okay,
rest.
pause. You've been voted out by the majority. Please return to your seat.
Jesus.
Now, Stephen, that was very inflationary. Okay, that was very.
Wow, this guy's nuts.
Well, hold on, to be clear, I'm not a huge fan of just like stimulus stuff because it has a lot of inflationary pressures. Everything for student loan debt, I think it would also be massively inflationary in that ways, but none of those even come close to the total economic destruction that we brought in this country with across the board universal tariffs to every country in the
Were
world.
you concerned about the tariffs in the first term?
Yes.
Okay. Why didn't we see the inflation in the first term under Trump under these tariffs that you're so concerned about?
Because I think that raising prices and everything can kind of be masked through the allocation of money to other assets, especially when the economy is growing. So the world economy is growing, right? Because a lot of people buy things, a lot of money can transfer to a lot of different places. Inflation has to do with dollars chasing supplies of goods, basically. And if the supplies continue to grow at a really high rate, you can probably afford more deficit spending. But the issue is that I don't think that Donald Trump was intelligently saying like, well, I can probably afford deficit spend here because it's the economy. I think it's like to spend because everybody does. And I don't think that Trump would have the ability to rein it in, as he said multiple times in his Bloomberg interview yesterday. But also like the big event that was contributing to inflation over the Biden administration was probably COVID and a lot of the knock-on stuff from COVID.
American Rescue Plan, for example, the unemployment rate had been cut in half. 100 million people had immunity to the virus, and yet we put $2 trillion of heroin into the economy.
The United States is also outperforming every single other G7 OECD country when it comes to metrics like inflation and how our economy is doing well.
We've got
So I think we probably made the right choice there, right?
Well, Stephen,
Wait, would you say we made the right choice where? Like the American?
I disagree. I disagree.
So which country should we have acted like?
Well, I'm going to hold ourselves to the American standards to always do the best thing and not to compare ourselves to others.
Okay, so we are outperforming everybody else, but you think we should be doing
So it's just a pass.
better? Okay.
Comparing with pass.
If I'm the best alcoholic in the room, I'm in the wrong room. I don't want to be the best of the worst. I want to be the best compared to my own standard.
Okay, but to be clear, you're talking about a world where every single person is currently alcoholic.
Stephen,
I'm just saying that you're trying to point to economic policy. You can't point to any country of the world. And we measure
8.5 million
Stephen.
Americans.
other countries and the fact that we
I haven't interrupted you. I haven't interrupted you. With all respect, I haven't interrupted you. 8.5 million people working multiple jobs to keep up with inflation. You've got 7 million prime working age men who are not in the labor force. 37% of Americans say that their
Actually reminds me of the lab guy.
children's life will not be better than theirs. This economy is hurting a lot of people right now. Did you accept that?
No. What's Donald Trump going to do to improve that economy?
Well, let's talk about that for a moment. Let's just talk about that for a moment in all sincerity.
Sure.
What problem does tariffs try to address, Stephen?
In Donald Trump's world, that's a very general question.
Objective speaking, when you look at tariffs, what does it try to solve for?
Tariffs can be levied for a variety of reasons. The two most common reasons that are given is that one, it can be foolishly employed to protect an industry. So you would tariff other people to make your own industries more competitive. These require across the board tariffs, so not specific ones. And the second reason could be for issues relating to, say, like national security. So for instance, I want to tariff these people's ability to manufacture microchips or steel, not because I think we'll be economically better off, but because if we get into war with them, I don't want to rely on them for a process.
I think the latter case makes a lot of sense, by the way. If you do war with China, now listen,
although I would be honest, a lot of ones we don't do it for economic reasons, we do it for security.
That's fine. That's absolutely fine. And I agree with you on that. Does China have tariffs on us? Yes. Does Europe have tariffs on us? Yes. It's not free trade when they're rigging it against us and charging us to send our products over there. So the question is, Stephen, if they're putting tariffs on us, hurting our workers, hollowing out places from Middletown, Ohio to parts of Appalachia, why can't we put in place a deterrent that says, look, if you're going to rig the system against American workers, we're going to level the playing field? We got a real problem in this country, by the way.
If this was you ask me a question. Whatever economic plan or whatever you're trying to use tariffs, sure, I'm fine with that. Whatever you're saying has nothing to do with the Trump administration. What you're saying is you're talking about getting into a tariff war to bring tariffs down, or forcing me to engage in negotiations to bring tariffs down in order to re-enter trade agreements, kind of like when Donald Trump renegotiated NAFTA into the U.S., Mexico, Canada agreement, right? But however, but you can't just say
Stephen, you use the threat of tariffs to bring them to the
Donald Trump's
negotiating
not
table.
talking about using tariffs to get more people to negotiate. He wants to create an autarky. That's his goal. You acknowledge that Donald Trump wants us to manufacture everything at home. That's all his rhetoric. You acknowledge he doesn't.
No, Stephen, just one second. He wants us to employ the working men and women of this country to give them a fair shot.
We're
losing 100,000 people to opioids every year. We're losing 900 people.
We're already below what the employment should be. We're already below 5%.
Stephen, 7 million working age men are not in the labor force.
That's a great number. I know what that number. Hold on. You acknowledge
hold on. Stephen, just one sec. Half of working age men who are not in the labor force are taking opioid painkillers every day. The broken industrial policies of this country. No, Stephen. No, does New Balance make in America? Yes or no? Does New Balance make in America?
I don't know, for the funding assembly, maybe? Okay.
Yes, they do. But here's the thing,
What's the point of that?
Stephen.
Do you think we can manufacture every single good?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
What's the goal of 1,000 or 500 or whatever?
Where are Teslas made? Where are Teslas made? Where's the best-selling car in America made? In the world, rather. Where's it made?
When you say
right here in America.
Hold on,
Bro thinks he's the president, bro.
Part? No, the final assembly, a large.
Do you understand that yesterday when Donald Trump was doing an interview with Bloomberg, he made fun of that. Donald Trump shit on companies successfully. He said, we do the final assembly here. We can have children do that. Just don't give it Legos. Donald Trump doesn't like final assembly. Donald Trump wants not just to test the final assembly, but all batteries, all the steel, every single component of that made in America. Again, your plan sounds great. That sounds like an ordinary, like decent economic plan. Donald Trump's plan is autarky. It's ridiculous.
I'm glad you like my plan. Thanks.
Okay, you're the president. I'll support it. Okay. Yep.
All right, so if Trump is going to be bad for inflation, why is it that when he left office in 2021, inflation was at like almost an all-time low, practically non-existent at 1.4%? As soon as he left, that's when inflation started rising with the Biden-Harris administration. If he's going to be bad at inflation, why was the economy so good his whole 4 years? If you look at all
COVID.
polls from any news site, even CNN, which is more left-leaning, you'll see that all people in general say that they trust Trump more with the
What did
economy.
Donald Trump do that made the economy so good in those 4 years?
The question should be, what did he not do? He didn't do anything.
Exactly. I agree. He didn't do anything.
He didn't do anything bad. He did good the entire time.
The economy had been growing ever since Obama brought us to the end of the 2007 collapse. Again, another Democrat president comes in, whether it's 2008 with Obama inheriting the housing crisis, or whether it's 2020 with Biden coming in having to deal with COVID. Yeah, he had to come in and spend like
You
crazy.
can't blame everything on COVID, okay?
You blame a lot on COVID. It was a really big deal, but we are doing that in all the other countries. I agree. Under
No, get him out already.
Biden, that's true. Yes.
Yeah, and when Trump left office, he was also in the middle of COVID too, and inflation was still at 1.4%. Why is it triple? Why is it
Donald
triple?
Trump like the first year of COVID, or the first month of COVID pretending it didn't exist. I don't know if he was like the leader to point to about that.
Okay, well,
I just don't know like what's one policy that Donald Trump has given if he comes back to office to help inflation. Just one.
He's going to be doing tariffs, and he's
That makes things more
also
expensive.
going to be
Pause. You've been voted out by the majority. Please return to your seats.
Yep.
Oh, such a short time.
Okay, so the Congressional Budget Office in the 1980s
With
reported
peppers.
that $1 to $3 billion was spent on illegal immigrants who were coming in and basically feeding off of public services. So what I don't really find appealing is that you get a lot of conversation from the right and the left asking basically everyone except Latinos what they think about this issue, okay? Because it affects us. It affects the fact that we're here, we've crossed legally, and then we're getting our image basically affected by the fact that we have criminals killing Americans, by the way. Let me just give you a few names who have died basically at hands of illegal criminals. Lincoln Riley,
But what?
which people know. Christopher Gadd,
But why?
Travis Wolf, Alex
What is-
Weiss.
what is-
Do you not care about these
No, I
names?
don't care about these
Oh, you don't?
names.
Oh, well, that's...
We're having a policy discussion? No.
So
Do you want
this
to
one-
hand off like every black person that gets
this one-
so
so
we
look
do
at-
BLM tactics. I mean, we can do that, but like,
Look
I
at
don't
this
care.
one. A 12-year-old Travis Scott, a baby by 2
Sure,
years old.
all death all murder
You
is
have a son,
tragic,
right?
but what is the-
You have a son, right?
It's nothing to do
So
with
if your son was
conversation.
killed at the hands of an illegal immigrant who was a criminal, you would care about this
I
subject.
would also care if he was killed by a 15.
What is this, bro?
I would tell you, I'm
So
sorry,
wouldn't-
school
so
shooting.
wouldn't-
He's actually unhinged.
What's the point?
Wouldn't you be there advocating for the southern border to be closed? You would be.
You think that my son's
You would
actually
be.
killed in
You
school
would be.
shooting?
It belongs to you. It belongs to you. So you don't want to answer the question. If your son was killed as a victim at the hands of an illegal criminal, by the way, there's a watch list of many people, terrorist groups and organizations that have been coming into our country, and it is very well known. Look, let me tell you. Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. You've been voted out by the majority.
Oh, okay.
It's not actually insane behavior right there.
So, as everybody's already discussed, tariffs are actually beneficial to American manufacturing. Ivanka Trump brought
He's going
Louis
to
Vuitton
talk.
manufacturing back to America.
He's going to talk over,
It
bro.
was considered unheard of.
Why do you think every single economist hates tariffs?
Why do you hate American manufacturing?
Like, hate America. I don't know. What kind of question?
No, because manufacturing jobs actually bring people out of poverty. So what is your problem with manufacturing in America?
My problem is in America, because we're such an educated country and because we're such an advanced country, we can do more with our manufacturing and making the most bare bones things that other countries might be better suited towards creating. So the reason why Elon Musk came to America
so you
to do
prefer other
faster
people
SpaceX
in your manufacturing?
to do base manufacturing, we can do more. We can do more
You're saying that
complicated.
the lowest rung of our population isn't important enough to actually provide them a job, even if it is a manufacturing job.
They have jobs.
What is the jobs? The ones that are being
I
taken
don't
by
know. We have less than 5% unemployment. What are they doing for work?
taken by the immigrants? Because
the immigrants are coming here
yo
numbers.
soy una población que es más afecta a estos policías.
Because Americans don't want to do low menial jobs.
De veras. Tienes que aprender español, mijo.
Not very well. Something about policies affecting you, I don't know what.
Yeah, my community is the one who's going to be affected by the policies that are
What are you talking about? What policies?
Kamala Harris's policies and Trump's policies. We benefited. My community benefited.
What? From what policy? What are you
Because when
talking
you bring in an unskilled labor population, they're going to compete with Americans who are also low-skilled workers.
Do you think that we have an
You don't think I can teach Maria or Juanita to pick up a pair of scissors and groom a dog's hair? Because I've done that before. And you know what? I can replace anybody. That's called being a low-skilled worker. And anybody crossing the border can do that. You don't need a degree. You don't need a diploma to teach jobs.
But we do have
jobs.
Can replace anybody?
They're not have the most productive labor skilled world.
You don't think these low-skilled jobs are important. You don't think these low-skilled jobs are important. That's very sad. That's very sad that you don't care about
low-skilled
low-skilled
United
workers.
States than just base manufacturing. We are the world's most sophisticated.
Why should we do more base manufacturing?
You don't have 50 hours in a day. You can do more than that. Why would we let other
The
countries
reason that manufacturers choose to go out of the country is because America has to pay for things like labor laws, employment, insurance, all these other facets. That's why these big corporations will go to places like China. I have a company called BYD in my backyard that brings in Chinese immigrants and pays them Chinese wages in America. And my representative, Mike Garcia, got that
Is this a hashtag? Yeah.
organization defunded because with federal funding, my taxes
would be better if we
going
paid
to a
wages,
Chinese
so we
company
could pay-
in my
so we
backyard.
could pay-
I would rather pay American workers
$2 an hour to make products. Your big company shouldn't exist in America. You should go to China and make a company. Go to China and make a company. That would be better. You should do that. Yes, I'm arguing that American workers can earn more money than
You are very sad. You don't love America.
Elon
You are
Musk.
proving that you
Elon
don't love
Musk.
America because you don't want Americans to benefit. You don't want American manufacturing to lift people out
So he's just going to talk over the chat.
of poverty. That is sad.
So we'll already
Oh, actually, cheers to them.
talk about inflation 1.9 under Trump. I think you guys like to leave out deficit spending, which was 8.2 trillion under Biden and 6.7 under Trump.
Why is this so much higher than Biden?
You could say during COVID, but you could also bring in the tax, the total revenue during Biden and Trump was close to the same. He was spending almost double the amount each year. You could also talk about the Federal Reserve printing 16 trillion. Can you repeat the question?
Why
I
did
was talking
Donald
to you
Trump?
for
Why
a
did
couple
yeah, 'cause you want to get next point. Why did Donald Trump engage in massive deficit spending?
Why did Donald Trump engage in massive deficit spending? I don't know the answer. Can you answer it?
Yeah, because he likes to spend because it makes the economy look better.
Okay, so the same thing that Biden and Harris does.
Yeah, but they have a reason because they're
increase the rate,
funding it under
How did it increase
at
the
an
rate,
increasing rate to save off recession.
Okay,
Yes.
and what about the Federal Reserve printing $16 trillion in 2 years?
What about the Federal Reserve?
2021
The Federal Reserve's monetary policy is
My
different
point
from
is,
the
you like to blame
administration,
inflation only on COVID. You don't want to take in deficit spending. You don't want to take in the Federal Reserve printing money. You also don't
If you
want
want
to
to talk about the Federal Reserve rates were not only low under Trump, he pressured them to be low. He literally bragged about it in his interview, and he said that when he comes back in, one of his goals is to keep the federal interest rates low. He talked about bringing Jerome Powell into his office and threatening him to keep the rates low. So if you don't like deficit spending, you don't like the Federal Reserve's monetary policy, you don't like free money, then it feels like Donald Trump's literally the worst case for you.
Well, wouldn't you say that deficit spending is causing inflation? So doesn't
It
that take
has.
more money away from Americans by your logic?
I don't know if it takes more money away from America, but deficit spending can
So
lead
on
to
higher inflation doesn't take money away from Americans?
It can. It's more complicated, but yeah, it can. But I'm saying that deficit spending in and of itself is generally inflation. There are reasons why you might want to deficit spend. For instance, it's better to have some inflation than it is to have a recession or full depression, right?
Okay. Yeah, I'll agree with that. Now, you bring up tariffs. Now, why did we extend them under Biden, and then why did we double the tariffs from Canada as well? Tariffs are so bad. So when Biden does it, it's okay, but when Trump installs them, they're horrible.
So the issue is, if you're talking about specific tariffs as retaliation, because somebody else might be tariffing some innovation, if you're engaging in that, then that type of thing is just I think it's okay. The reason why a lot of them came in under Trump and what we're seeing under Biden is because once somebody's put a tariff in place and a counter tariff comes out, you have to engage in negotiation to bring them down. You can't take yours down unilaterally.
So do you think all economists agree that 10% tariff is bad?
Yes.
You should look at the study 2019 by Jenny Pink, Brett Newman.
I would never look at a single study.
4% increase in inflation.
That's time. Please return to your seat.
My next claim is Donald Trump is a fascist. Hello, Andrew.
Hello, Destiny. Destiny, can you define fascism?
I would say the two big points for fascism would be ultranationalism and
On this guy rambling again.
Okay, what is authoritarianism?
I would say that authoritarianism is trying to centralize as much power in like a structural sense into one part of the government, and then in a broader sense, it usually means undermining a bunch of liberal values that you finally see in the
So then how is it that every part of the government which accrues more and more power to itself every single year aren't a bunch of fascists?
Because the government gaining power doesn't necessarily make it fascist, because there might be governmental overreach.
I'm
but
still not
it's-
even sure what is fascist here, Destiny. What is fascism?
said-
Giovanni Gentili, we have definitions of what fascism is. We have third parties who are out there right now who are fascists. They claim Trump is a populist. Can you tell me why they're wrong and why you're right that he's a
Well, I'd have
fascist?
to know their exact reasons for why they reject Trump being a fascist, but I would say that Trump is
These are
fascist because he's
your-
an ultranationalist
these are your
and
claims.
authoritarian.
These are your claims,
I'm not
right?
defending anything those people
Your
say.
claim
My
that-
definition for fascist, I gave the two parts.
Okay,
I'm explaining
so
what
let's start
people
with
say.
ultra-authoritarian.
Why is it ultranationalist and authoritarian?
What is ultranationalism?
I think ultranationalism is when you engage in a hardcore protectionist ideology that usually involves shutting yourself out from the rest of the world. That could be in forms of international affairs like military conflicts, and it could be in forms of ultra-protectionist in terms of trade and shutting down things like immigration in order to protect your own native peoples. Oftentimes it's a heavily racialized element, but it doesn't have to be.
Okay, well, Donald Trump, you're not saying has a heavy racialized element, are you?
I'm into I don't really care that much. I think it qualifies or satisfies the term without that. But
Okay, so let's dive into this real quick. If you have a president who doesn't want to get involved in foreign affairs as far as wars go,
Actually, interrogation, bro.
and has some type of policies which benefit the United States over all of the nations, is he fascist?
No.
Well, I'm still confused as to what makes Trump a
That's
fascist.
because I had two parts of that, and you missed the authoritarian one.
Yeah,
You described it before, which is like
but when you say
protectionism.
authoritarian, what is he doing? Which is accumulating all power to himself.
So he's trying to centralize power in the executive branch of the government, and specifically in the presidential part of the government, of the executive branch.
How?
How Donald Trump thinks that he should be able to unilaterally make decisions up and down all of the different departments and offices that exist in the executive branch.
Presidents use executive orders all the time.
That's not what executive order is.
Presidents unilaterally make decisions all the time.
They don't?
Yes, they do.
No,
They do. They use executive orders all the time.
An executive order doesn't mean that you're taking power away from the departments and offices that have been created.
Right. So where's the fascism here?
Would you like me to give you specific
Yes, give me the
examples?
specific
Sure.
example.
So when Donald Trump didn't like the answer that he was getting from his attorney general because he was trying to direct the Department of Justice to do investigations or to fabricate claims, that would be an example of trying to centralize power just to the president because he's undermining his own department that's been created for him that's tasked, that's supposed to have some level of independence, that's tasked with doing investigations.
Let me ask you a question. Is the President of the United States Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the United States?
I believe so.
You believe so?
Unless something
Do they
changes,
have control of the entire military apparatus essentially as the Commander-in-Chief?
Yes.
Yeah. Is that fascist?
No.
So they have unilateral, basically almost unilateral control by your own metrics of the most mighty military on planet Earth. That's not accumulating enough power, centralized control to one person. It's the fact that he tried to slay some electors. Really?
So the president and commander-in-chief is specifically laid out in the Constitution. That's authority granted to him. I don't know what's fascist about
Well,
that.
because you said it's ultra power. It's this idea of
I
having
didn't say anything about
central
the
power.
military.
If you have the central
I
power,
never bring that up for him. But
if you have the central power of the most mighty military on planet Earth and the codes to the largest nuclear armament on planet Earth, you already have all of the central power, bro.
Really?
Yeah.
How did the nuclear code help you structure the Department of Justice?
Okay, I'm sorry. Is he the commander-in-chief of the United States Armed Forces? So
Are you just arguing that he's the commander? I already agree. I don't know why
I'm arguing to you.
I'm asking you, how does the commander-in-chief use the military to make?
It's your claim. I'm asking you about your claim. Your claim is.
How does that make control of the DOJ? How does the military help control the DOJ?
Back up. That is the most powerful position I can think of for you to be in. Period. How
That's
could
a powerful
you
position. That's a powerful.
What more accumulation of power would you want for a fascist dictator?
Okay, so that's powerful that you control the military. That's it. That's just control the military.
So he's just gonna interrupt.
The FBI come to your house to arrest you for the DOJ filing charges
Where's the
against you.
military to do it?
No, the president doesn't do that.
He
I don't know.
could.
No, I don't believe he can. I don't believe he can. I don't think that you can deploy the military to arbitrarily arrest U.S. citizens.
You've been voted out by the majority. Please.
Oh, that's not the quickest sport ever.
Okay, you're not voting for Trump.
No.
I am. I think we can have a respectful policy
Oh, come on now.
disagreement without labeling one side or the other fascist or communist or Marxist. So let's have a policy disagreement here. You think Donald Trump is a fascist because of ultranationalist tendencies and authoritarianism, correct?
Yeah.
So let me just draft this vision and see if it makes sense. The authoritarianism is ruling by presidential decree, prosecuting political opponents, bringing power into the government, and abandoning our allies abroad. That sounds a lot like the Biden-Harris administration.
So I would say that, we'll go point by point. So first of all, when we talk about abandoning allies abroad, are we referring to, so we haven't cut funding from Israel, are we referring to when Donald Trump abandoned the Turkish people, or abandoned the Kurdish people to Turkish attacks in Syria? Are we talking about when the Trump administration cut out the Afghanistan government in the Doha Accords when they were talking with the Taliban, when Donald Trump started the Taliban? Or are we talking about when Biden tried to support Ukraine with the full force of not only the United States economy and our moral support, but also by getting Europe on board to help Ukraine? The idea that the Biden-Harris administration abandoned our foreign partners is nonsense to me. And also, it's not just about making the government more powerful. I know that Andrew could run that, but it's about centralizing power within the government.
Right, and wiping off student loan debts at the expense of working class Americans. I understand that. But
hold on, wiping off student loan government, the citation for that was a bill that was passed from Congress. Biden tried to do that because of during it was like extraordinary times you could do something and you tried to stretch it back. But the Supreme Court said no, and then he didn't do it.
Okay, Supreme Court had to intervene, right?
Well, the Supreme Court made a ruling on it because it was challenged. That's the government working.
And he stopped trying to do that right afterward, right? He said I'm not going to do this anymore, or did he say I'm going to keep delivering on this promise?
I think he explored other legal avenues to do it.
Okay, well, legal remains to be seen. But let's talk about.
He hasn't done anything illegal, right?
Okay, let's talk about.
He hasn't done anything illegal, right?
Talking about.
Okay, there's no answer. Okay.
Let's talk about October 7th. October 7th would not have happened if President Trump was in office. Ukraine would not have been invaded by Russia if President Trump was in office. You can call him crazy, you can call him anything. He was an effective deterrent because he understood.
Hi, Chad Andy.
Stephen, a little thing we like to call peace through strength. Here's the truth.
The truth about October 7th probably happened likely because of Trump.
我已经表示写
Holy moly, why is that?
Why is that?
Yes,
The
please.
reason why is because Donald Trump engaged in more reckless behavior with Israel that only encouraged Israel's expansionism without doing anything to actually address the Palestinian problem. For instance, Donald Trump agreed to moving and recognizing the moving of the embassy to Jerusalem that instigated everybody in the region, including the Palestinians, which is why you saw the whole border rise, the Great March of Return that erupted over the year protesting that. And then Donald Trump, along with Kushner, tried to help Israelis negotiate multilateral peace agreements or more bilateral peace agreements to the Abraham Accords, again, while cutting out the Palestinians. All of this just continued to drive the Palestinian plight further and further because they saw more and more allies being isolated from them. They saw no recognition from the United States. And then obviously, terrorist attacks is all you can do from that point, apparently.
So Trump moved an embassy, got Muslim majority countries for the first time ever to recognize the rightful existence of the Jewish state of Israel, and that justifies the heinous attack we saw on October 7th. We killed over 1,000. Well, you said that Trump was responsible for
I said that
October
Donald
7th.
Trump and his foreign policy posturing is what moved us in that direction.
President Biden was in office for 3 years before October 7th happened. How possibly could that be
What did
truthful?
Biden do to contribute to the conditions that October 7th happened?
Very clear, very clear. Iran was only exporting 150,000 barrels of oil a day under Trump. Now they're exporting 1.6 million. They're making hundreds of billions of dollars a year more. That emboldens them to give their proxies weapons, money, and the vigor to attack the Jewish state. And that is unacceptable in the international community. Let me
So
tell
you think that the only reason that Hamas
Let me
Israel, the only thing they're able to do is because of increased Iranian funding?
Who funds Hamas?
In part, it's Iran, but Hamas is funded from all sorts of different
Who funds
advantages.
Iran?
Okay, they get money from Qatar, right?
Who funds? Okay. Who funds Hamas? Of course they do.
Right? Probably
Who gives
more money.
No.
It might have been Qatar, I think, actually.
Well, they give them a Ritz-Carlton hotel room. But listen.
No, they were transferring a whole lot of money to the Gaza Strip. It was one of the big things. It was one of the big scandals that Netanyahu was involved in, was allowing the money to pass through to the Gaza Strip.
There's strict logical reasoning here. If Iran gets more money, that's good for
The guy just enjoying the
So you
debate.
agree on that? Come on.
Broadly speaking,
yeah, come on. Just concede one thing, Stephen. Come on.
Broadly speaking, probably, yeah.
Okay. All right.
There's more at play here that I'm not even sure if you're aware of. So the IRGC, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, has some amount of money that's guaranteed regardless of whether exporting or importing. It's a country mandate, but
You know
in
what?
general, I'll agree with you, sure, yeah.
And you know what? I am glad that President Trump ordered the assassination cost him Soleimani because that man is responsible for death and destruction. The targets he made on the Jewish state were completely unacceptable. Stephen,
I don't think the targeting of American citizens in Iraq was unacceptable. I have no love lost for Soleimani. I'm glad that he said. I'm not going to defend it, but Donald Trump doesn't do anything good foreign policy-wise for Israel. Doesn't have a vision for the region. That's why he had to basically leave all of it to his. It's not like Kushner.
But why was Crimea annexed under Obama? Why was Ukraine invaded under Biden? Why did nothing happen under Trump for 4 years? It was a complete stalemate, complete stability.
Crimea was still occupied, right?
Okay, but it was annexed under who?
Hold on, it was still occupied, right?
Of course.
Okay, but there was a civil war that was raging in the Donbass the entire time, right?
Did it accelerate? Was there new land
Yes, there was not new land claims, but the civil war in the Donbass. No, but the civil war in the Donbass was still going on. What did Donald Trump do about
The world
that?
is safer under President Trump.
It
The world was safer
absolutely
under
not.
President Trump. The world knows that, Stephen, and the world's going to show that on November 5th.
Okay.
So would you attribute fascism to maybe a dictator?
I mean, a dictator to be fascist, sure.
Okay. So on Biden's first day in office, he signed 17 executive orders. Trump signed 1. Most of the executive orders that Biden signed were to highlight the border and other Trump immigration policies.
I don't think executive orders have anything to do with fascism.
Would you attribute those to being a dictator?
No.
Not at all?
No.
Okay. Well, then what other claim do you have that he is a fascist compared to?
I think that Donald Trump reaching into and trying to direct his departments to do probably illegal things.
Well, Biden did that too with Facebook. He came out and said, Zuckerberg came out and said that Biden and Harris came to him to pretty much limit what Trump.
How is that passes? I'm so confused.
I don't think that was the claim. I think that what Zuckerberg said was that he felt pressured by some of the intelligence agencies to censor stories that they had censored, and he felt like he regretted that.
Like on a laptop, for example?
Well, that wasn't done because of any direct pressure from any of the intelligence agencies. We saw that in the Twitter files. There was never a claim.
Well, then why would Zuckerberg come out and say, I'm not going to...
Well, I'm not going to Twitter files. Zuckerberg had his reasons that he listed in his letter to Jordan, but none of this was illegal.
Well, I'm not saying it's illegal, but I'm saying, would you not say that's kind of dictatorial, kind of fascist?
No, I don't think so. It's not like out in the open. Like, at the end of the year, like Twitter, Facebook are publishing.
Let's say the roles reversed, and then Trump did that to Biden. Would you then call him fascist for doing that?
For doing what?
For pressuring, as you said, Zuckerberg or Meta to limit...
if Donald Trump's intelligence agencies had felt like there was like information that was being illegally offered into the United States from foreign enemies or whatever, and that
Well,
department was
the
like...
laptop was
No, but that was the word. That wasn't proving anything. That was the fear. And that was the like fear that they shared with the companies. They didn't force them directly to take action. Again, we can read the Twitter files, we can look at the emails.
We're not talking about Facebook. We're talking about Meta.
For Facebook, Zuckerberg also didn't allege any illegal action. He just said there was pressure from some of the agencies because like censor what they perceived to be as threats or misinformation or whatever. I think some of that like code misinformation issues as well, I think. Okay. We can argue like should they have the role to do that? I just don't know if that's a
Yeah,
solution.
what question is
Basically,
asking,
no,
bro?
trying to direct his DOJ to like go after certain people, trying to direct his DOJ to
Why
like...
did that with all the...
There's zero evidence for any of that, and probably it's almost certainly not true. If you look at how Merrick Garland has gone after, for instance, his son.
Okay, pause. You've been voted out by the majority. Please return to your seats.
I'm Tia. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So I wanted to hone in on the part about nationalism. Can you explain that again in a little bit more detail?
Sure. So I would say more ultranationalism than just nationalism, but it's this idea that, you know, basically screw the rest of the world. We're going to hardcore cut immigration. We're going to hardcore cut our trade. We're going to hardcore cut our association with anybody else. And we're just going to be like our own little basic island nation. I think it's a very bad direction to go in.
And who's taking us in that direction?
I think that's what Donald Trump wants to do.
Wants to do. He was in office for 4 years. Did he do that?
Well, Donald Trump began some tariff processes. He tried to do a
So he
full
didn't do
Muslim
that
ban.
for 4 years.
He
He's
took steps towards that. He took
So
steps
I'm
towards that. Right?
curious,
He acknowledged that. He did try to ban some Muslim majority countries, right?
You're a US
He did do that. He did the tariffs. He acknowledged that, right?
Do you like
He
being
did. I know.
American? Are you glad to be able to live here?
I'm glad to be able to live here. Am I glad to be an American? I am, but I don't know what that means to you. But to me,
Which is interesting because something that I've started to realize in the last few years is people who love America, who love living here, have been titled nationalists and it's like a threat all of a sudden?
People that label themselves MAGA that say they love America have nothing to do with American values and nothing in common with the core values of this country. So they're
Please
the least
explain.
American people.
Please explain.
Sure, the desire to elect somebody who says the most obviously fascist things in the world, like the media is the enemy of the people, a guy who says he wants to terminate the Constitution, a guy who says to be a dictator on
Who's
day one.
terminating the
Donald Trump said
Constitution?
he believes he can terminate the Constitution because
It's so crazy because I've been hearing a lot lately from your side that the
The Mexican jester.
Constitution isn't necessary.
Oh, I'm sorry. Which lawmaker or presidential candidate said that?
Your side.
Which is that the name first and last? Your side,
Yeah.
like this side, or is she a congressman, or is she a
Your side.
senator? Or, I don't know which leader said that, so I can't speak to that. I don't know.
So
If you
anyways, as an
Oh, this is falling for the fake news.
but anyway, you acknowledge Donald Trump said it in times of like great peril, you can suspend the Constitution. That he would do that for voter fraud.
for voter fraud,
He said that, yes, on Truth Social. He said that.
I'm sure there's a longer quote that I can look up later. I would love
Okay.
to see that, but I'm sure you're using it out of context.
Okay, you'll look it up later and you will never talk about it again. This is an important quote. You
How
acknowledge
did you know
Donald
me so
Trump
well?
because you're on that side, I know.
Okay.
You agree that Donald Trump said that he'd be a dictator on day one?
He did not say he would be a dictator on day one.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So as an American, I believe that it's a privilege and a blessing to live here. And under the Biden and Harris administration, my life has gotten a lot worse and a lot more difficult. Has your life gotten better or has it gotten worse?
So my life's gotten better.
Well, you're... Congratulations.
Personal anecdote.
You're the only person in this room, maybe. But when I go to the grocery store, and you mentioned about inflation and everything, but when I go to the grocery store and a bag of groceries is like $50 and I have 2 kids to feed, do you think that that helps?
She's having a bad day, so blame on the
Me as an American, or do you think that
president.
hurts me as an
I think
American?
an expansion of the child tax credit would help you a lot more than
Just blame on Joe
a tax
Biden.
cut for wealthy billionaires.
A couple $1,000s isn't going to change my life, especially when
Another $6,000 a year wouldn't help you eat all the groceries.
with 2 children.
Yeah?
This much, maybe. But if the
What are
price
your
of
children
groceries-
eating?
Okay, pause. You've been voted out by majority. Please return
Thank
to your
you.
seats.
So money won't help children. That's insane. That
Hi, nice to meet you, Chrissy. So I would like to address, because earlier I feel like this was kind of dodged on a little bit. Earlier you directly said that Trump was authoritarian, needs to be ultra-nationalist, and needs to be authoritarian, and needs to be ultra-nationalist again. You kind of bounced back and forth. So which do you think?
Well, I say both. He's both, right?
Both, right. But then when the topic of ultra-nationalism brought up, you said, well, he's more authoritarian. And then that again changed to, well, he's more ultra-nationalist. So which, in your mind, is he? Is he more authoritarian or is he more ultra-nationalist?
I don't know how to answer. It's like asking if a square is more blue or 5 feet.
Well, because you
tall.
said
Like,
that.
they're
Well,
two
because you
separate
said that he
things.
was more nationalist, and then you said he was more authoritarian. You said both claims. So
Yeah,
I want to know
he-
which claim
so-
is he more nationalist or is he more authoritarian?
I don't know how to say which one he's more of. He's both.
Because
I don't
you said
think
that
I don't think I ever said that. I don't.
did.
Do you remember what his response to?
The first gentleman who spoke?
Okay, he might have said something like you said that he was ultra-nationalist. I said yes, and
So
in
another
this case,
question is,
just being one of these things is enough.
so why is nationalism all even bad in the first place?
I don't know if nationalism is necessarily bad. I think people kind of spot out patriotism sometimes. That's why there's the prefix ultra-nationalism. Ultra-nationalism is bad because when you elevate your own country,
What
that's
did he
like
do for ultra-nationalism?
when he talks about putting terrorists across the board for every single other country on the planet.
So helping our
not helping our
economy
economy.
is not.
It wouldn't be helping
So he was
us
not helping our
because
economy
it's
during his presidency when he was actually literally getting us to import rice to China. Rice to China is benefiting our economy. Is that not? Is replacing China as one of China's biggest farming with ours? And as this gentleman also brought up with our manufacturing, how is bringing manufacturing over here, which is helped by tariffs? How is that?
We
not-
already
how is that
we
horrible?
manufacture things here. If we've got more people manufacturing baser goods, then we can't manufacture more sophisticated goods. There's a reason Elon Musk, because you only have so many people.
Okay, pause. That's time. Please return to your chair.
My next claim is the Make America Great Again movement would not exist without massive amounts of disinformation.
Hello, Destiny.
Hi.
Nice to see you here again.
Yep.
Here to bully me some more?
Yep.
All right, let's go.
Okay.
Let's get going. Can you state some of the disinformation?
Trying to go the past few weeks, we've seen absurd claims relating to hurricanes being manufactured by weather machines. We've seen outright lies about the National Guard and FEMA like blowing away supplies and trapping people in their homes and lying about Biden providing financial aid to states, even though Trump is the one that has tried to withhold aid. We've seen lies about the Haitians eating dogs and cats and frankly, I can go on.
Have you, I have a few questions.
Yeah.
Have you left the United States?
Yeah.
Where have you been?
I've been through Israel and Palestine. I've gone across Europe. I've been to New Zealand. I've been to Asia. I don't know. But
Okay, so you're like me. You've been everywhere. So you've seen some of these claims. You've like literally seen them to be true, or that they're false rather. So
I haven't seen how a hurricane is made.
Okay.
I've talked to every Haitian in Springfield. So.
all right. So what was the second point you brought up? About you said something about the camps.
so she did not trust any news article.
Not looking that way. That was my point. Have you been to these camps and have you seen the conditions and things?
The FEMA camps?
Yeah.
Or? No.
Yeah. So exactly. Period. The end. So you're saying no, you
So
haven't.
you have not personally seen it, then it's not true.
But you're saying it's disinformation. So how do you know that it's disinformation? Which is why I brought up the point. Have you left the country? Have you seen with your own eyes what's going on in these camps? And
Do you understand that for any type of society in advanced civilization to work, you have to be able to rely on third-party people to report to you things that are true?
Right, but there's so much fake news out there today.
Exactly.
Exactly. So my question is to you though, is that have you seen these claims? Have you seen these places with your own eyes? Do you know what's going
No,
on?
but I don't have time to verify everything with my own eyes.
I
yeah.
know, because you're too busy teaching gamers how to be nerds
Because I
out,
can't
right?
verify every single thing in the world with my own eyes.
Just like you couldn't verify the fact that you enjoy getting pegged, right? Actually, you did verify that. Anyways, but that was just a
Technically, you need a mirror to see that, but I don't know why you even. Okay, yeah.
B-side.
You're a talk expert.
Oh, that come out of left pill.
No. So
Okay.
what other claims were like not valid or false?
How many?
Something else.
I mean, the election, the 2020 election, the voter fraud claims. That were all
Pause.
fabricated.
You've been voted
All
out.
right, thank you.
I think she actually wants to back Destiny.
Please return to your seats.
I think that both sides thrive on misinformation. I think average people don't have enough time in their lives to decipher what's true and what's not. I think that's the case for most people who work 9 to 5, unfortunately. But I think that your side also thrives off of misinformation. I think that you actually just did the meme a second ago. You said that the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act was just tax cuts for the rich, but in fact, people make $50,000 receive a tax cut of 16.6%.
The majority of the money went to wealthy people.
Why is that? It's because wealthy people pay more taxes, even. Yeah. So their share of tax burden is obviously going to be in volume more physical dollars. Yes.
But when it comes to the budget, all that
But
matters is
proportionally, people can see that proportionally middle class people receive more in tax breaks than rich people.
proportionally to their income.
Yes.
Possibly.
Or their tax burden.
But the problem is the effect at the end of the day on the budget then is going to be like the biggest outlay is going to be towards wealthy people, right? Our deficit increasing because all the wealthy people are saving, right?
Okay, sure, fair enough. But I think like already, what is 90% of taxes are paid by 50% of the country, and 50% of taxes are paid by 1% of the country. I always hear this thing of like the billionaires or people aren't paying their fair share. But it seems to me that they've been paying more than their fair share since American inception, and the middle class actually has been paying not their fair share. And I'm not saying that we should increase taxes on the middle class, but what I'm saying is the billionaires are definitely paying their fair share.
They pay a lot for sure, but if you want to fund all the progress we have, you have to
back to the misinfo thing.
Okay.
I mean, like,
I agree that both sides engage in misinformation. I just think the conservatives do it on a whole different level. Donald Trump will get up and lie as easily as he breathes. Like if you watch any of the interviews that he gets, lie after lie after lie.
Same thing with Kamala Harris.
Close to the same.
Oh my God.
There's a reason why I asked him, Walls, did you lie? Like, were you 3 months off when we went to China?
And then he filibustered
And
for 5
then
minutes.
his answer was, do you believe the results of the last election?
Yeah, no, I agree.
These are totally different.
He
Yeah, these are totally different questions,
Sure.
right?
Well,
you're
false
saying
now, okay,
it's like saying inflation is lower now than it was under Trump. Pre-COVID inflation
Okay,
rate,
pause.
2.4%.
Why did Biden say he ran for president?
I don't remember.
Do you remember the video he released at the beginning when he launched his campaign?
For the 2020 election? For the, I don't remember.
He said because of Charlottesville, and he specifically cited that Donald Trump called the Nazis fine people. Do you believe that?
So yes, I don't know why.
No, I'm sorry.
I understand what you're going to say. I know what you're going to say. It's people like to go. So some people present this as Donald Trump saying that the Nazis were good people. He didn't. He said there were good people on both sides of that rally, but it was a rally that had Nazis. I don't know in what world you would ever say that. The full quote doesn't exculpate.
The full quote, he said the Nazis and white supremacists are completely disavowed. So he disavowed them
after he was pushed several times to do so.
No, that's not true. No, he said in the speech. He said it in the speech. He said in the speech, and they took him out of context and said that he called them fine people. Right after he said the fine people line, he said disavow the Nazis. So that's a lie that the Biden campaign.
I disagree that it was a lie. His quote on its own of him saying fine people on both sides of a tiki tally on a Tea Party rally, that is insanity. That is insanity. It's like a question on a retard test. Like, hey, listen, here's a rally with a bunch of guys. Sorry, my bad. Grammar language. My bad. There's a rally, and on one side you got a bunch of people tiki torches. How would you describe the rally? And you go, well, there are fine people on both sides. It's the most easy bait in the world to say. You probably should say that side is a bad side. Considering how much people claim that, like, if it is about all the BLM,
it was a protest for the removal of Confederate statues. There were people, there were normal people there.
There were tiki torches.
That was at the night before. That's above because he disavowed the Nazis.
You can vote it out. Please return to your seat.
What's up, Stephen?
Hey, what's up?
So, tell me, misinformation, you mean like fake dossiers or like rhetoric that has a president get assassinated, which attempts to get assassinated? You mean like that kind of misinformation that caused 3 assassination attempts?
Do you know why those people press those assassination attempts?
I don't know. You're your friends, right? Didn't you say like one of the Republicans got shot, right? You have a problem with that, right? So I mean, that's your level of disinformation.
Weren't you like registered Republicans?
So they say, were they watching your content?
Were they watching my content? Who's they?
They,
the Jews? Or?
I don't know about that. Isn't that the same misinformation? The dossiers, the rhetoric that he's bad, the ruling country. Oh, you know, like the one that Hillary Clinton bought, right? You know,
the one that was published by
the
media.
fake one. You know, the one that whole FBI investigation that wasted a whole bunch of Americans' money.
Well, no, I don't think I would say. I think that the Mueller investigation turned out more credible indictments and information than the Hillary Clinton email investigation and the whole Benghazi waste of time.
Yeah, and all that stuff that came from the Democrat Party, all that fake news, right? Is that what you're talking about?
No, they call fake news. It was a dossier that they paid for to be researched by a person. There was low confidence in a lot of it. Just like, for instance, do you acknowledge also about Hunter Biden and his illegal dealings with Burisma and Joe Biden, like profiting about that's all fake news too?
No, I just know he has a lot of cocaine.
Okay.
Do you do cocaine with him?
No, I don't.
You coon with him?
Not recently, no.
Because you got a coon gremlin, right?
Am I a coon gremlin?
Well, yeah, you are.
Yeah, like Donald Trump is. Was a prostitute like 4 years or 4 months after his wife had a child at home. He was cheating with somebody.
What is going on, bro?
You mean like how you think the wife will get banged out?
Am I running for president right now? Are you going to vote for me? Or do you remember when Donald Trump was Stormy Daniels?
No, do you remember
4 months after she had a child? You remember that? You notice that? I like that the standard acceptance is to be president. I'm not running for president. You understand that? Okay, then why are you trying Trump to be?
Because I'm just.
Exactly.
Bro, I think Destiny's the president. Get it there.
So everybody seems to be bringing up neo-Nazis and neo-nationalism. That seems to be coming up. And I want to know why. Under Obama, Joe Biden was the vice president. Under Obama, and they are United States government. This is a fact. Organized a coup against the government of Ukraine. And Ukraine is known as one of the #1 countries where neo-Nazis are going to train. You have the Azov battalion, you have the right sector.
One, the Azov battalion, I think it was most had like 600 or 700 people that might have been identified as neo-Nazis. Maybe, number one. Number two, the United States did not engage in any type of coup.
There is a coup. It's reported. Yeah, Victoria Nuland.
Yeah, I understand. I'm aware of the Nuland leak. All she said was that the leak phone call. Why did they remove Jeffrey Pyatt from the embassy? Why did they remove Jeffrey Pyatt from the embassy? Why did they take him out of Ukraine? Evidence.
All of this is on video.
This is on video. You're delusional.
Maidan? I'm a crazy person because of Maidan? Okay, maybe no, yet. Because
What is happening?
matter. You don't understand what happened, and you're making up claims that are true. These are actual recordings from Victoria.
No, we've all heard them 15 million times because the only things that you guys propagate is try to claim that the United States engaged in coup.
You guys haven't brought this up. I'm bringing it up right now.
Okay,
well,
Azov, you've been voted out by the majority.
So I just want to address the fact, recently we had a debate, and so there wasn't any fact checks on Kamala Harris really anytime, especially when she claimed that Democrats don't support third trimester abortion, that it never happens. That recently happened not too long ago, Washington, D.C. with Cesar Santangelo. There were 5 third trimester babies who were aborted. We've seen this with Kermit Gosnell as well.
Can I ask, what were those 5 babies aborted for?
Why does that matter? They were still killed third trimester, fully developed, their spines completely snapped.
Was the abortion a part of like a medical procedure for the life of the mother?
No.
So it was a totally elective? Okay, I'll look it up afterwards.
The reason is not
My understanding is
justified.
1 is incredibly rare. 2, I don't even know if the vast majority of members would support this. 3, I don't know if the vast majority of like pro-choice people support this.
So the thing is, over 90% of Democrats actually don't. They are okay with there not being any limits on abortion. If we look at the states, there's 6 states, including Washington D.C., which is a district that has no restrictions on abortion. That means that all of those states are Democrat states. So yes, that side is perpetuating and at least setting a very dangerous precedent that this can happen in those states.
I think the reason why they advocate for no laws in those states and advocate for correct law for the problem is if you make it illegal, then if a medical issue does come up, there's a potential roadblock or hurdle there where a person might die waiting to get some kind of like.
But someone always dies in an abortion. Someone always dies. A human being always dies.
With all due respect, it's an insane position, and I'm not going to take a position that the life of the fetus is going to be prioritized over the life of mother because you want to make abortion legal there in that case. I don't think
so it's okay to kill a human being just for any sort of reason.
Okay,
the family should be making that decision. I don't think the government should be stepping in and saying.
I don't think that the government should allow what people.
The life of a parent is equal to the life of a mother.
People to kill people for no reason.
But you're saying you would turn the woman away from medical treatment because she can't engage in an abortion.
No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not the claim that I'm making. What I'm saying is that side is saying that no one supports it, that no laws are giving precedent for third trimester abortions when that's happening. And even if it is a small number, say it's 1% of all abortions, that's still over 15,000 abortions. That's 3 times the amount of kids who die in school shootings, which is a tragedy, and that's an issue we all need to fix. That's still a significant amount of people that are dying from abortion, and no Democrat is acknowledging that. And I think it should be at least acknowledged.
Okay, I mean, Republicans.
So miscarriage is a human being too, I
so
guess.
any type of like pro-choice legislation that they feel like Democrats would support. I mean, then they have a conversation, but obviously that's not going to happen. So when Democrats are engaging in that conversation with Republicans bring up the third trimester, so you guys don't actually care about third trimester.
So why do we not care?
Because you care about all 3 trimesters. You just use it exactly. So you don't want to ban third trimester abortion. You want to ban all abortion.
Yes, absolutely.
You hyper-fixate on the third trimester abortion as a way to get
because it's happening because your side denies that it happens, and it does happen.
They acknowledge it happened. You're going to ban third trimester abortion. You guys still want to get rid of
You're
abortion.
okay with third trimester abortion.
I'm okay.
Please return to your seats.
Number 1, I'm a MAGA gangster. I'm outside when it comes to Trump. Have you ever been to a rally?
Yeah,
That's number 1. I don't know if you book smart or if you're really outside, because I'm outside. I'm outside. And you basically said MAGAs thrive off of lies. First of all, you ever seen the Trump rally? You don't see all of the unity and love out there?
Nope, I see things saying like deport all the immigrants, and I see more MAGA flags, and I see American flags.
Let me ask you this. You support Black Lives Matter?
Not that much.
But Black Lives Matter only when media put it out. That's number 1. Trump is bringing a lot of unity and love. You support burning and looting. That's what you support. And it tripped me out how you could support someone that just want the world to just go crazy, burning and looting. And I heard you say something earlier that's crazy. You said you hate America. Talk about that.
I don't think I ever said I hate America.
Yes, you did. And it made me look at you even more.
Okay, what
You said it earlier. You said it earlier.
I don't think so. I think I said I like America. I like America.
This is schizo.
I don't think mega people like America. I don't think you guys have any idea what it means to be American. I don't think you know what American values are. I don't think you know what this country was founded or built upon. I think you guys are obsessed with a cult leader who is taking the entire Republican Party off the cliff.
Everything he say he do. Trump is gangster.
Can you give me one thing you don't like about Trump?
What I don't like about him, I love everything about him.
I know, because it's a cult.
It's not a cult. No, it's not a cult. Everything is a cult if you want to think about it.
Okay.
Everything is a cult.
He just gives answer, bro.
If that's somebody in a cult, that's probably true, yeah.
Someone that's representing, and Kamala, whatever her name is, she's out of here. Trump 2024. Let's go.
Hi, Jenny. Nice to meet you. So you think that people that support Trump are in a cult? Why is that?
I feel like Donald Trump is basically untouchable. He can do no wrong. The entire conservative party is basically centered around Donald Trump. Any person that goes against Donald Trump, it can be so many people. Everybody still looks at all of those people around him as being the fault and never Donald Trump. When Donald Trump was in office, it was because of the swamp. When people like Barr turned against him, it was because he was a rhino. When people like McCarthy didn't, like Terry Sanders, it's because he's a rhino. People like it's just labeling every single person around us as a bad guy. All those people are rhinos, and Trump is great, and Trump can do no wrong basically.
I think that's false. I don't think Trump is a perfect human being. I think anybody out here that's voting for Trump knows that he is not innocent. No top businessman, no top politician got to the top without getting their hands dirty. I think what we're all voting for is based on his policies. I think he prioritizes the economy. I think he stands for women's rights, and that is something that's very, very important to me. Do you think that Trump likes
What? Policies?
Do you think he respects them at all?
Trump loves women. I don't know if he respects them. When you say
Really?
that people
You don't
support,
think
no.
Why not?
I think the types of statements alone that he makes about women, I think, call that into question. But you said earlier that people support Trump because of his policies. I don't think that's true because I don't even know what policies of Trump, that nobody even talks about them.
Oh, really? He posted on his Twitter, he posted that like 20 promises he's going to make to America. He's going to make trans women competing in women's sports illegal. I think that is something that needs to be said, that he does support women in that
Are these things are these like the most important issues too?
I think so.
Okay.
I am a woman.
I guess this is the most important.
Girl, at least I know
You
I
know a
am.
lot of NCAA or whatever athletic events?
I attended San Jose State. I graduated from there. You do realize that there is a transgender person that's on that volleyball team, and nobody on that team was told that there was a transgender woman on there?
I didn't know this is the largest issue in the election for you. It just seems like a pretty minor thing.
I think women's rights in general is a big thing.
Okay, not rights to abortion.
So you talk about misinformation, but you've given us a ton of misinformation right now. You said, seems like nobody in MAGA even wants to talk about any of the issues Donald Trump. Had multiple debaters come up.
10 minutes of yapping.
Talked about multiple economic policies, compare and contrast with Kamala. Gave you great reason.
I don't think I heard any economic policy from Trump when he was in for you.
Okay. No, back up. Now you're switching claim. So what you just claimed is I don't hear MAGA people talk about this at all.
I don't think I heard any
That's what you said.
yeah.
And yes, they did. They brought up the capital gains policies. They also brought up tariffs. They brought up the tariff policies. They brought up multiple economic policies. Total misinfo. Total misinfo for you to say they didn't. They absolutely did. Are you disputing that nobody here brought up any policies?
I think that when you're talking policies from somebody, if the only thing you have are tariffs, it's not really a strong policy foundation.
I'm sorry. Did you use the word any? You don't hear anybody talk about that?
Speaking like a human being right now.
Oh, but when Donald Trump speaks like a human being, he's a liar.
Yeah,
anytime.
I'm sorry, but Donald Trump
So would you say it's misinformation, for instance? Is it misinformation when you say that a firefighter who got murdered at a rally, when you laugh at that and you say that that's totally fine, are you spreading misinformation?
No, I said that's totally fine. I guess I don't really
No, you didn't. You laughed about it. You thought it was funny. You didn't give a shit. You were under fire on Twitter for weeks until you finally backed away.
I haven't backed away from any of those.
You haven't backed away from any of them?
No, not at all.
You don't care that the guy died, right? Yeah.
When this side is involved
in violence,
here's the question. Here's the question. Do you disavow any of the rhetoric about Paul Pelosi? Do you disavow any of the rhetoric about Paul Pelosi?
What? Even if I made any outrageous claim possible, has nothing to do with your claim.
You
Which is what we're talking about. We're not your claim. Stop switching. Stop switching the goalposts. And you're filibustering. Stop spurting. Stop spurting over and over again. I'm not here to talk about my tweets. Are you going to acknowledge that you said totally fine? You didn't care. You just said right now you don't care. How is it now? Let me explain how it's misinformation. Because don't you think that if you make claims like Donald Trump is an American, Donald Trump doesn't like the Constitution, and then you have an assassin come, he tries to kill Donald J. Trump at a rally, another American dies? Aren't you spreading misinformation by saying to people this is okay? Isn't that un-American?
I never said this is okay. I said over and over again that there shouldn't be any political violence in the United States. It's not good. You guys are the ones
who said that January 6th. He said it during January 6th.
He sat and watched it happen for 3 hours.
After the guy died, now you're sorry about your rhetoric.
Who said I was sorry?
Yeah, you're not sorry.
Stop projecting onto me. I never said I was sorry about anything. I've not said that. Yeah, I'm like you have fine with things that I say. Okay. Number one. Number two. Donald Trump and your side of the ones engaged in divisive rhetoric for years. This idea that saying Donald Trump's un-American and Donald Trump himself says he'd be a day one day care. He would suspend the Constitution. I'm sorry. If the divisive rhetoric is Donald Trump's problem.
Rhetoric has led to assassination attempts, and one of the guys who died there, you don't even give a shit, and said this multiple times. And at the same time, you're like, oh,
interrupting
love America. What kind of bullshit is this? That's
unbelievable.
Yeah,
if you guys start taking accountability for some of the crazy things that you say, come and talk to me. Okay. Come and talk to me.
Okay, so we're gonna do a 5-minute extension.
All right, I want to go back to kind of your original claim, which
disinformation.
Well, can you restate your original claim?
I think MAGA thrives on disinformation. They're in a totally different reality now than they ever have been.
So that actually wasn't your original claim. Your original claim was that
the MAGA wouldn't exist without the amount of disinformation.
Right. Okay. So how can you possibly know that?
Well, I can't know all possible worlds if it wouldn't.
Right. Exactly. So right off the bat, your initial claim is false.
Okay. Well, if this was a philosophy 101 class, then you completely totally debunked me, sir. Yeah.
Wow. Great. Great. Well, so great. Your initial claim is false. Glad you.
Actual debate, bro.
Get into that. Now you want to go to the disinformation topic. Well, one, I think.
Let's put the headlines, bro, for the Jubilee video.
A lot of the rhetoric that you're spewing is very divisive for our nation because a lot of the times you're assuming people's intentions on these things, right? You're assuming that people are purposefully ignorant when you're in no position to actually know something like that.
I don't know. People are purposely ignorant. Actually, unironically, I hold the individuals a lot less accountable than I do the content creators.
Well, but you don't talk to people like that.
Well, I usually am talking to content creators. Even most of the people in here, I think, are like on TikTok or something else. I've seen a lot of these
Okay, so that's an assumption without any evidence.
Hold on, are you saying that I'm assuming without evidence that most of the people that I talk to tend to be like...
No, most of the people in this room. That's what you're assuming.
Okay.
So anyways, again, you're assuming the intentions of these people, and that's not true. You're assuming that we're part of this MAGA cult, which is not true at all.
I got here earlier, literally said that Trump...
Well, okay, maybe some people, right? And I don't believe that Trump can do no wrong. I think most Republicans believe that, right? I'm disgusted by some of his personal behavior. I think his stance is on abortion. He's way too far left.
You've been voted out by the majority?
Hey, well, your original claim was false, so that's great to hear.
So, you made the claim that MAGA wouldn't exist or Make America wouldn't exist without misinformation. Obviously not a true statement. I think you just admitted that.
I mean, likely they would. I can't prove that 100%.
Okay, and it started way back during the Reagan years. So,
I think it's accelerated a lot with social media and it's accelerated a lot under Trump and MAGA. Because Trump is the first guy that just lies with impunity. There's no accountability on the conservative side when he does.
So speaking of people who believe in MAGA, it seems like based off the rhetoric that you had said, all of the people in here and the millions of people who are kind of fall into that umbrella of believing in Make America Great Again. You act like we were some cult and we're some evil people. All of us are human. Every person in this room is human. Can you stop interrupting me? I'm talking. Let's be respectful. So everyone here in this room is human, and people who are Make America Great Again and who go to these Trump rallies love each other and love other people and love humans and they want to see the betterment of society and betterment of everybody in this country.
Return to your seats.
Okay, so again, I think that the misinformation is far more rampant
Oh,
on your side.
yeah.
Kamala Harris, Project 25. Huge misinformation. Not Trump's
misinformation. Trump's advanced probably supports. I think Trump broadly supports.
Is Trump Vance?
Vance?
Yeah, you say support a lot. He's
presidential candidate.
Yeah, okay. He invite VPs and presidents to disagree with each other.
I guess Pence and him disagree.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, and there have been plenty of examples in the past, like McKinley Roosevelt disagreed staunchly. Okay, so this is not rare. Project 25 is Kamala Harris's primary talking point, and it is not Trump's agenda. Trump has his own agenda published on his website, 47. There are some overlaps there. He agrees with some things in that project, but not all of them. The primary one being, again, Kamala Harris's biggest talking point, which is that Trump is going to institute a national abortion ban, which he has publicly disavowed.
Well, I think the problem was for a long time. I don't think he would say no to that, but I think he has said that he
said
wouldn't vote on it.
Over and over again, he said no.
I've heard him go back and forth on it. Personally, I don't like Project 25 talking about it. I think it's kind of cringe.
I don't know if misinformation.
Would I go first call it misinformation? I'm not sure. But even if I would call it misinformation, because it's written by a conservative think tank.
Okay, so what?
Well, I might say that even if I were to grant that it's misinformation, it's nowhere near on the level of Haitians are eating cats and dogs.
Okay. Do you think that I actually argue totally the opposite, right? I think that it definitely is on that level, considering she's prescribing Trump's entire policy platform, trying to claim that Trump's entire policy platform is something that it isn't, and there are a lot of Republicans disagree in that policy.
I don't know if he wanted
to lie.
If Donald Trump wanted to fight against it, maybe he just have a policy platform.
He does have a policy platform. Agenda 47 is on his website.
Yeah, I read it. It's a joke. It's things like we're going to bring down the interest rates. He can't even do
that.
That's
Kamala Harris's policy platform.
She can't bring down interest rates.
Housing is 4 paragraphs.
Yeah, but you can't bring down interest rates. At the very least, there's some solid stuff there. That makes it a little bit
You're saying there's no policy proposals.
I'm saying that when Donald Trump speaks,
it's more fleshed out in her plan.
No, I don't think so. Okay.
Her entire housing section is 4 paragraphs, and one of them
I think it's one paragraph.
All right, guys, we're time.
4 times better.
Okay, please return to your seats.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? This one right here. I chose you because you'll break my heart the most, because you sound somewhat reasonable and intelligent, but you just say the craziest things, and yeah, so now I'm just going to try to figure out for 10 minutes if you really believe it, or if you're hardcore just carrying water for some political side.
So, Stephen, my claim is that President Biden should pardon President Trump. No matter who wins the election, President Biden ran on unity when he came and gave that inauguration speech on January 20th, 2021. He wanted to unify the country. The best way for President Biden to leave office is to pardon President Trump and to try to bring the country together. I think as a MAGA movement, 75 million people may look at Biden and say, look, we have political disagreements with this guy. But the fact that he pardoned Trump, much like Gerald Ford did, much like there's examples in our country of folks reaching across the aisle and doing, at that point, I think you could probably argue that Trump has already pardoned himself. Largely these cases will drop if he doesn't win the election. But I think it would be a very powerful signal for the unity of the country for President Biden to pardon him.
I think there are at least 3 really good
something get to say.
Absolutely. Okay. So the first
Your
one is
opinion.
Donald Trump doesn't need to be pardoned because the Supreme Court's already said that the president can enjoy full and absolute criminal immunity when he's doing his job. So if he's already gotten that carve out from the Supreme Court, why should he need any more help to be pardoned for any other types of crimes unless we're saying he did crimes that weren't even part of the job of being the president? I would say that's the first one. Do you want to do the other two? The other two, the second one is I think that Donald Trump has done abhorrent things in the abuse of office that I think he absolutely should be accountable for. I think that he should answer for these things. I think it's destructive to lead this idea that you can act above the law and get away with it. And I think for the third point, the idea that Democrats have to be the ones that continue to come to the table like, okay, we're going to do this. Okay, we're going to try to heal. And okay, we're going to do unity. When you've got Biden up here, saying like, I'm going to be president for everybody. I'm going to do unity. And then Donald Trump saying like immigrants are the poison to the lifeblood of this nation, like crazy stuff like this. Like the back and forth of conservatives being unhinged and Democrats having to like apologize for behavior. I don't like the double standard. I don't think it exists inside of it.
Okay, let's talk about President Biden and the unity claim. You do agree that he ran on the platform of unity.
Absolutely.
Yes. We can both agree on that, right, Stephen?
Yep.
When he called MAGA Republicans a threat to democracy, was that a sign of unity?
That speech absolutely is. And yes, when you read the whole speech, he says over and over again, in a totally pointless manner because I'm aware, because I'm part of the TikTok culture as well. He said over and over again, not even most Republicans are MAGA Republicans. When he said MAGA Republicans, he was talking about the subsection of people that deny the results of the last election. They don't even believe in things like institutions or peaceful transfers of power or the country operating as like cohesive unit. He spells it over and over again that he's not talking about all conservatives. But people just clip that one line in the picture with the red behind and say, oh my God, look what he's saying.
As a matter of fact, though, 72% of Republicans believe that there were serious issues in this 2020 election. Just as a matter of
why do they believe that?
Well, just as a matter of empirical fact. So you got 70% of 75 million people believe that. You are still making a very wide and sweeping statement about working class Americans, black, white, Hispanic Americans, saying that they're a threat to democracy.
I don't know if all of them necessarily don't believe like hardcore that they were like voter rigging as opposed to the media was biased or something because Trump kind of used against those claims. Sure. But for as much as people believe that there were issues with the election, it's because Donald Trump told them. That's it. Like, and a lot of the lies that started out of the Trump camp, we know now were completely wholly fabricated. Everything having to do with that State Farm video was a total lie from the very beginning. Everything having to do with Dominion voting machines was a total lie from the very beginning. There are so many of these claims when you look at the genesis of them, they were either fabricated or were maliciously constructed.
But doesn't President Biden have an obligation to be a president for all Americans, even those who vehemently disagree with him?
When you say vehemently disagree, yes, but for people that don't believe in the results of the election, this is the issue: is that conservatives have pushed the boundaries of what you can tolerate in a society that can function together, right? If a conservative wants to come out and say, I think that we need small government and I don't believe in the government providing all this relief and all this whatever, and I think we should have small government, whatever, okay, I disagree with that. That's fine, whatever. We can still exist together. We can argue, okay? But when people are saying, I'm not, there's a phone call into a radio show where the guy talking about his father-in-law is turning away FEMA because he thinks that FEMA's going to steal his house. We're breaking down institutions to a point where we can't function. We need institutions as much as in my head. We need them to function, and conservatives spend every breath undermining them, and that is becoming dysfunctional. I don't know what you're supposed to do in that circumstance.
Well, I think what you can do is, and I'm not saying this isn't without risk. There's certainly some negative optics to it, but I would say that gesture, I'll tell you, you take away the ammunition from one side if you say, I'm going to extend the olive branch. And by the way, even if it's purely ceremonial and symbolic, even if the president can end up pardoning himself, even if President Trump wins, then the question becomes, why doesn't Biden do that as a symbol of genuine unity? Genuine unity.
I don't think there is an olive branch that would be accepted. I don't think anybody would see it as any type of. I think that arguably, I've seen back and forth on this, that Merrick Garland probably dragged his feet on prosecuting Trump and pointing Jack Smith and in all the charges that were filed, and that was a massive mistake. They shouldn't have waited on that. That should have moved much quicker on because of his obsession with liberals and media to appear unbiased and to be nice to both sides and treat both sides equally, even when, in my opinion, obviously one side is acting far more recklessly. It's destroying the country. We talked about Israel-Palestine earlier. We talked about like children in the store. And somebody's acting inappropriately or they're acting out of line and behaving in a way that is unsustainable. That behavior has to be brought in line somehow. You cannot run a ship when half the people are trying to row in the other direction. And right now, conservatives are undermining every single facet of this country. And I don't know how we're supposed to function in that environment, right? Where we say like, okay, we're going to pardon Trump. What if we pardon Trump and then he just commits more crimes? Or what if we pardon Trump and the next Republican president goes, well, I probably get away with it because they're going to talk out for unity in the end, so it'll be great, right? What do you do at that point?
I disagree with you on conservatives threatening the country. I would even say that Democrats don't threaten the country. I think most Americans want a secure border, an economy that works for everybody, good education. To your point about quibbles over tax policy and regulation, do you believe that a supporter of the deportation of illegal migrants falls into that category of a radical conservative?
I think it's a radical position, but I don't think that's like a beyond the pale position. Okay. I think it's done for the right reasons, but not against beyond the pale.
Right, and I mean, look, Axios Ipsos found this in April that 55% of Americans, not just conservatives, Americans support the mass deportation of illegal migrants. 46% of Democrats. Why do you think that is when you look at places like Chicago and New York? Why long-time
I think
Democrats?
for a variety of reasons, but again, this is an issue. It's like the minimum wage. I think that we probably need a minimum wage, but I don't think that agreeing with discrimination makes it un-American. Something like abortion,
right,
which is way more charged. I don't think it makes you un-American. Things like immunity for crimes for the president, that's a deeply un-American value. That the president can't be charged for criminal behavior, even in the role of his job. In my opinion, that's deeply un-American. Undermining all the institutions. That America should have no role as like a world leader. That the way that we look at immigrants as enemies, or that we don't want to trade with anybody because you just these things are. Not, I wouldn't say the trade thing. Obviously, like the immunity thing are really big one. The idea of America needing to receive from the world is a big one. The idea of like the weaponizing of all of the DOJ that Trump wants to do. These are things that deeply concern me. Talking about terminating the Constitution and all these things. Yeah.
So we can have our disagreements. There's a lot there we could pick up. We've only got a couple minutes left. But you're an American. I'm an American. I believe that you love this country. I believe that you want the best for this country, the best for your family. Donald Trump wins on November 5th. Genuinely. What is one piece of advice you give him?
If Donald Trump wins, what is one piece of advice that you give him? Donald Trump, after he's gone, will have family members that remain in this world that carry his name through the world. He will have a legacy, he'll have a reputation, and that the way that he acts in his last 4 years as president will be remembered for the rest of history, for as long as America continues to exist, and that he has an opportunity in his second term at least to right some of the wrongs of the first term, or to prove people like me wrong at least when I said that the United States would become an authoritarian hellhole or whatever else. So he has an opportunity to prove people like me wrong, and I hope that he would take advantage of that.
I think that'd be great. I think that would be great for the country, to tell you the truth. Is there one policy, one position
Okay,
that you agree with, even remotely?
The problem is I just don't like his thought process. So there are going to be things that we agree on, but like we're going to agree on them for totally different reasons. Like in general, I'm not as big on like DEI or affirmative action type stuff. I think for a variety of reasons has a lot of different issues. I think that having a secure border is really important. Arguably the most important things about having a country is having a border. I think the Democrats like broadly agree with that as well. I think that yeah, I could probably find other things, but like our agreements are going to be very roundabout. We're not getting here the same way. But sure, the Christian space force was good. Obviously, all the conservatives hated it, but I thought Warp Speed was a tremendous achievement of capitalism and pharmaceuticals of the United States and U.S. leadership.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, I think the big picture though, and can we just give me a round of applause?
No, I want a round of applause.
I'm a big believer, Stephen, that when we come together as a country and have conversations, difficult conversations like this, we may not walk away saying, well, I agree with Stephen, or I agree with James, or I agree with any of the folks here, but you walk away saying, that's a person, that's an American, we can disagree agreeably. And I might understand for just a moment their perspectives. I want to thank you for being here. I think that the biggest thing for the country going forward, in a sense, is how do we have more debate, not less, more disagreement, not less.
Unfortunately, I totally disagree with you.
Yeah.
I was there a while ago. It's not enough just have conversations anymore. I think we have to start taking steps in actual direction. I think right now we're talking ourselves off a ledge. And I notice a lot of times when I have challenging conversations with people, I get all these comments that pop up, whether it's talking to Peterson, Shapiro, Owens, I'm like, what a great civil conversation. But at the end of the day, nobody's
their minds once again.
changed, and everybody still feels the same way, and we're still accelerating off of each other faster than we ever have been before. But at least we're having good conversations on the way down to the base of the cliff, I guess.
Well, let me end. Let me end on a bipartisan note, Stephen. Let's not just make debate great again. Let's build it back better.
Okay.
Yeah, that's everybody now.
I think I did about as well as I could have. I mean, there's always more like 80 pieces of factual information that I could have, but it's hard to keep track of everything. But yeah, I think it was okay. Maybe I could have been meaner to some people, but okay.
I think that James did really well. I think that Destiny himself did really well too. I think that Destiny is probably the best debater in the space on either side. So I think that we did really well against him considering that fact. I think that debate is important. I guess kind of counter to what Destiny thinks, even though he's a professional debater.
Part of democracy is talking. You know, we see these global conflicts in Israel, what's happening with Russia and Ukraine, is because people aren't talking. I think that the Republican Party today and President Trump we want peace. We want to bring people back to the talking table and for people to be civil.
So there was some personal attacks here and there, but I think for the most part, everybody stayed on the substance of the issue. There were some heated moments, that's okay. But I think we all walked away.
Okay, so